My hair is going missing, and I think someone is cutting it off while I sleep, or I'm going fucking insane. That's one hell of a title, but let's get into it. Okay, so I'm getting really weirded out because chunks of my hair seem to be going missing. This has happened multiple times now. I really want to believe I'm either going insane or I'm cutting my own hair in my sleep because I really am having a hard time finding a rational explanation other than my hair has decided to be extremely weak on certain strands, causing it to break off in chunks, only at night, or it's being intentionally cut by someone. I live in California, so it's hot, and I've been putting my hair in a ponytail every day and wear it to sleep. I have bangs and some side pieces hanging out to make it frame my face. I always make it the same length on both sides and try to have the same amount of hair on both sides. Last thing I do before I go to bed is brush my teeth, so every night I look at myself in the mirror. I always try to have perfect hair since I live with my significant other, so I'm pretty aware of my hair. I feel like if this hair was falling out off throughout the day, I would have noticed in the mirror. If it's falling off in my sleep, it'd be in my bed. I sleep alone in a separate bedroom from my significant other for quiet, so he wouldn't be moving my fallen hair from my bed. The first time this happened, I thought it had broken off. It was a small chunk, but still a chunk of hair that was just much shorter one day. I was shocked because it was so short they always became flyaways. This was on the top of my bangs. The next time it happened on a side piece of my bangs, it was much shorter, but again, attributed it to breakage because I have thin hair and I toss and turn. Third time happened on opposite side. This time really short, but again, a small chunk, but enough to notice. I freaked because I love my hair so much, and so I went to my pillow bed and sheets, but there's no hair there. Like none. That freaked me out even more. I think either, number one, sleepwalking, cutting my own hair. Number two, I'm going crazy, cutting my own hair, then forgetting. Number three, my hair is weirdly weak in certain strands at certain times and is breaking off in literal chunks and then disappearing. Or number four, someone/something is cutting my hair while I sleep. I really hope it's one of the first three. I called a friend and showed him, and he thinks it's my significant other doing this, but I don't think so. I'm thinking of recording myself while I sleep so I can see if it happens again, or maybe I'm just losing my marbles because rereading this right now, and it definitely sounds like I could be extremely paranoid. And I mean, this is wild. I read this post and I'm like, there's no way this lady doesn't know where her hair's going. And I mean, off this post, yeah, she has no clue. And I mean, right off the bat, I don't know. Like, I feel like it couldn't be her cutting her own hair or her hair falling out because it would be easily seen. You know, it's like if you're cutting your hair at night, you'd make a mess, especially if you're sleepwalking, and you're going to see it like all over your counter or on the floor or something. Like there's going to be pieces of hair somewhere or in your bed if it's falling out. And so I just think it's super weird that she's not seen anything. And then I think it's also really crazy if someone was sneaking in to her bedroom and cutting off her hair. So like, I'm just completely confused here because I have no idea what to even think or theorize about. But let's get into some comments and see what the commenters are theorizing about. Someone says, time to break out old Reddit reliable. Do you have a carbon monoxide detector? Also important, is it coming off at the base near the scalp or neatly cut like partway down? And then the OP replied saying, I am not sure. Just moved into this condo and I know there are smoke detectors, but I don't see any other ones I think. I'll ask my significant other tomorrow if there are any. If not, I'll go buy one. And it's like 2 inches down on one strand and the other 2 strands are longer, about 4 inches. It's just so perplexing to me. And so the OP didn't really answer the question if it's coming off from the scalp or cut. I guess it's cut because she's like, it's 2 inches down, which is very weird. I mean, if it is cut or kind of broken apart, I don't really know how hair works. I mean, can it like break apart? I guess it could. And the person replied saying, if that's where your hair meets your ponytail holder, you could have a vitamin deficiency causing brittle hair. You also could be tearing it out in your sleep unknowingly. It doesn't have to be full-blown sleepwalking, just anxiety coupled with nightmares. But the simplest explanation is certainly your significant other clipping it for nefarious reasons. And I mean, I would disagree with this commenter here. The simplest explanation is your significant other cutting your hair secretly. I feel like the first two are a lot more realistic, but we can beg to differ. And then the OP replies to this saying, unfortunately, no, these are pieces of my hair that are always loose because they are my bangs and too short to be pulled into a pony. I'm starting to think maybe because when I did tell him about this, he said nothing, just blank. And after 3 minutes of me going off about this, I asked, isn't this fucking weird? And he said, yeah, and not much else on it. It's all just strange. And I mean, that is pretty weird though. If the significant other's kind of blowing it off, I mean, maybe he has some sort of weird interest in hair, but I really don't know. This has me kind of perplexed so far, but let's look at some more comments. But why did your boyfriend keep quiet when you mentioned it? Does he think you fuss with your hair too much in general? How else is he around you? We have a sleep app called Sleep Cycle. I'm not sure if it's in all countries. The paid version records any sounds as you sleep, or if you sleep with your door closed, hang a bucket full of empty soda cans on the handle. Old school alarm. And then the OP responded saying, I think he might have not known how to respond to such a weird situation. It's definitely odd, and I don't know how a normal reaction to someone telling you something like this would be. He's very serious and doesn't talk much, but he's not one to hide his emotions. We've had our fair share of rough patches, but always came out stronger for it. It just wouldn't make sense for him to do it though. Wouldn't he want me to look good? I don't think he hates me or something. It's my birthday today, so hopefully it doesn't happen when I finally go to sleep later. And then a person responded to the OP here saying, if he was doing it, it would indicate a severe mental issue. Like, if I can make her ugly, she can never leave me, or something else equally creepy and possessive. So if it is him, please get the fuck out. And that's a good point. I mean, some people think in really weird, strange ways. I'm not blaming the boyfriend here, but yeah, some strange people do think that way. They're like, if I can make her ugly, they can be mine forever. That sort of weird shit. And so that's a possibility, but I don't know. And then the OP did say, you know, it's a weird situation. He wouldn't know how to respond. I disagree. I mean, it's like if my girlfriend was like, hey, my hair's falling out and I think people are cutting it when I sleep, I'd be like, what the fuck are you talking about? That's what the fuck, show me. And then keep asking about it. I wouldn't go, yeah. Like that's the reaction he had, which I think is very suspicious. Like any normal person would be like, you think your hair is being cut when you sleep by somebody or something? That's pretty strange. But yeah, I think the boyfriend's reaction is pretty strange. But let's go on to the OP's update. Mini update. My hair is going missing. So I got a camera to watch me while I sleep. I got a motion detecting camera, which will start recording as soon as it detects any motion for 60 seconds. And then it stops. And then if motion continues, if again, and starts it up again. Also, this OP uses basically no punctuation. So I'm going to try my best to read this. Because I had thought it was me doing this, I had told my partner and he went out and we got the camera. We set it up and both had the app on our phones, and I go ahead and go to sleep and I wake up and there's about a minute missing. There is a moment on the camera where it doesn't catch him getting out of his bed, and what it catches is him getting back into bed. So there is a part where it doesn't catch him getting out of bed, and it really just bothered me. I brought it up to him. He said he knew what happened. He hadn't touched it, and that was that. He got pretty upset that I felt violated. The night before, I had gone to dinner with my mom and told her, and she thinks it's my significant other. It was me, him, and my mom at the dinner, and I brought it up, and all she said was, set up a camera, and you're going to catch who is doing this to you, and then I want you to text me, and I will tell you what the next steps are. Today, I called my psychologist. He too thinks it's my significant other. He wants me to leave him immediately, as my significant other is the only logical explanation. I showed him my hair, and he thinks it's being cut. I still don't really believe him, and he understood and said he set up a separate camera where your significant other doesn't have access to it. So that is what I'm going to do, but my psychologist said it is my significant other, and he feels that I will need proof to believe it at this point, so as apprehensive as he was about the situation, he advised me to still try and catch what's going on the camera. So we will see. Very strange, and people have a lot of questions in the comments, so let's get into those. Someone says, but was your hair cut during that missing time? Someone replied to that saying, also confused on how it's missing time, if it's a motion activated camera. There was no motion, so the camera turned off, depending on how fast he got up. The camera might not have caught him getting up. Someone else says, I have similar cameras connected to my phone. I can view and delete data as needed. If he has the application on his phone, he could do the same thing. He could have screwed up a little with not deleting the video of him getting back into bed though. Someone replied to that saying, right, so then if you were concerned that your partner who normally sleeps in another room was stealing your hair, you wouldn't give them access to the app or tell them to sleep in your bed, right? There are clearly red flags in the relationship if the psychologist is saying to leave him, but this proves nothing about him stealing your hair. And then the OP replied saying, again, I thought it was actually myself doing this. That's why he slept with me last night and had access to the app. That makes no sense. And the OP got 30 downvotes on this, so everyone agreed with that. Yeah, that makes no sense. And then someone replied to that saying, yesterday you 100% did not think you were doing it yourself. And the OP said, deep down, kinda, yeah. This is really going off the rails. I don't know what the OP is even saying at this point. And then some commenters dive into the OP's post history. Someone says, the reason this OP's psychologist has advised OP to leave the significant other is unfortunately clear once you read OP's post history. There is a mental health aspect to this, and the doctor is apparently trying to help OP by removing uncontrollable variables and give OP the stability to prevent past behaviors from being repeated. And it seems family and friends may feel the same. I hope OP just removes the significant other for a couple of days to see if there are any other instances, but not a place the significant other can access. OP, please listen to your loved ones and doctor. If this is proven not to be him and he wants to break up, the relationship isn't what you think it is. And then someone replies to that saying exactly this. Reading between the lines of OP's post, it's clear that both her mom and her therapist think the significant other is doing it. Likely there are other things that have happened in the past for them to not trust the significant other. But OP is still adamant that their significant other is innocent and continues to act against her own best interests. And then someone else says, it is so obvious how unhealthy this relationship is. It has gone to the point that the significant other is stealing OP's hair. There is no instance where this isn't creepy as fuck. Yet OP continues to make excuses and blame themselves. If their therapist, real-life family, friends as well as a bunch of internet strangers can't convince OP they should get out of the relationship immediately, then I don't know who can. OP, leave. Don't become another statistic. Someone else says, this is extremely strange. Please be careful and do not bring this up anymore to your significant other. Let them think you've completely forgotten about it. Someone who's already taken a knife to your body while you're sleeping is capable of harming you in other ways. And everyone here can see how deeply disturbing this truly is, because it seems like the OP and their significant other have past problems and they both have their own issues, and this could be very dangerous quickly. And obviously everybody is telling the OP to leave the significant other, but she's just not listening for whatever reason. And yeah, this is just very concerning, and everyone in the comments, as you have heard, is very, very concerned, understandably so. And then somebody else says, I say this as someone who thinks 95% of the people who come to this subreddit are overreacting. You are underreacting. Your boyfriend is abusing you in your sleep. And there's a lot more comments of people saying, okay, get another camera and don't tell your significant other about it. Of course, that makes sense. But sadly, we have never got another update from the OP. And that is the last we've ever heard from the OP. It's been about a year and a half since she last made that post. But very, very concerning. And like, this is like the first time I read a lot of Reddit posts and Reddit threads, obviously. This is the first time where I see like everybody saying, hey, this is a bad situation. Please get out of it ASAP. Usually it's not that. People are kind of on the fence usually, or kind of being like, oh, give them the benefit of the doubt. Everyone here is like, holy shit, get out now. This is bad. And I have to agree, this is very, very creepy and concerning, because, I mean, the OP's significant other is probably cutting her hair in her sleep. That is weird to a different level. Like, why would anyone do that who's mentally sound? They wouldn't. And so, I just have to hope that the OP is doing better now, because we have no sort of update. And to be honest, I'm just really concerned, because the OP didn't see the problem with the significant other. She's like, it's not him. It's probably not him. And everyone's like, it's him. Mom, psychologist, everyone on the internet was saying it's him, and they still weren't listening. So hopefully the OP was able to change their mind, get into a safe situation, but just deeply, deeply concerning. And yeah, I'm just worried about what happened to the OP, because yeah, like some commenters said, if he's doing this, who knows what else he might result to next. I mean, if it's cutting hair now, it could be doing something next. Who knows? But yeah, like I said, super, super concerning. And I just really hope the OP is doing better now. But what are your guys' thoughts on this? I just think it's wild. I found hundreds of pictures of my brother on my boyfriend's laptop. Can anyone please explain to me what's going on? Posted on August 30th, 2018, and the post reads as follows. I've been with my boyfriend for over a year. Our relationship is/was great, and we honestly never had any serious problems. We both have full-time jobs and live together. He's good friends with my younger brother as well, mainly because of their shared interest in fitness, workouts, etc. They hang out a good amount and go to the gym together. In hindsight, the fact that they're good friends makes it all the more creepier. Yesterday, I was home alone and my boyfriend was at work. I needed to print something out, but my laptop wasn't working at all. My boyfriend has several laptops, and there's one in particular he never uses. At least, I've never seen him use it. I thought it was some dusty old thing. I grabbed it, and it was not shut down properly. It took me straight to the photo albums, and there were hundreds of pictures of my brother saved. Most were pulled from his social media accounts, but there were also pictures of him from his rugby team's website. What the fuck? This isn't even the worst. There was an album that only consisted of creep shots and videos, pictures of him sleeping, and even videos of him getting changed. You could clearly see in the videos that he wasn't aware of being recorded. What the fucking fuck? The last picture he uploaded was literally last week. This is so creepy. I don't even know what to say. There were also pictures of someone else's gym clothes, and I'm also assuming they're also my brother's. I'm confused, disgusted, and shocked. What the hell is even going on? When he came back from work, I just went straight to sleep. I couldn't even face him. I honestly can't think of a good reason he would do this. I mean, straight guys don't usually do this, right? I don't know if I should even confront him about it. Should I ask him what this whole thing is about? And now let's get into some comments. Someone says, he's clearly got a thing for your brother. It's not a healthy way of expressing it. Creepy, if anything, but it's quite obvious. Confront him. Tell him how uncomfortable it makes you feel. Be prepared to break it off with him. I'm sorry you're having to deal with this. And then the OP replies saying, it's weird because I never even suspected that he has a thing for my brother. I would have noticed something like that. I honestly just can't believe it. The OP then added something in the comments saying, I was talking to my brother the other day and he told me that his dirty clothes keep going missing and that he's convinced someone at the gym or other places keep stealing it. I just found it kind of funny / weird at the time, but now I'm thinking it's way more fucked up. Oh boy, this could escalate quickly. Let's keep going. Someone else says, it's not just that your boyfriend is attracted to your brother, but that he's clearly obsessive. I'm a single guy and I will look at Facebook pictures of my crush, but I don't save them to my computer. That's super creepy. And him taking pictures of your brother sleeping sounds criminal. This is a lot worse than your boyfriend being secretly gay. And then someone replies saying, in my opinion, saving them isn't so much the concern as is taking creep shots of him. That's a serious WTF. And then someone else replies saying, I would take the laptop and show my brother, then go to the police to report it. Someone else comments saying, I don't recommend confronting him alone. This is some very unhealthy stuff, and I feel like if you corner someone with this sort of thing, he may react in a way that puts you in danger. Don't do that, even if you crave the dramatic airing. Someone else replies saying, yes, I suspect the boyfriend will react very poorly to the OP confronting him. And this is a big revelation that could potentially bring to light something the boyfriend wants to hide and is ashamed of. This could be really dangerous to the OP. And then the OP gives us an update saying, sorry to disappoint, but this isn't a positive update. I'm still trying to mentally process it all, hence the delayed post. I grabbed the laptop to take pictures of the photo albums, and I found way more stuff than I originally stumbled upon. A lot of commenters in the original post said that he probably used me to get closer to my brother. I didn't quite believe it at first, but they were right. While I was taking pictures of the photo albums, I found even more folders. He began saving these pictures 4 to 5 months before we started dating, and my brother didn't even know him at the time. That realization sent chills down my spine. I also went on the internet, the bookmarks, the browsing history. It was all horrific. I'm not going to elaborate because it's honestly sickening. It's clear that he has an obsession with my brother and extremely violent and disturbing fantasies about him. I'm not talking about bondage, although some of that was there too. This was absolutely messed up, scary stuff. I cannot believe that I was so clueless about everything. I went over to my brother's place and explained everything. Showing him proof on the actual laptop, he was shocked / creeped out, of course, but didn't believe that my ex was behind this for different reasons. But he's not gay. He wouldn't do something like this, etc. I wanted to go to the police, but he completely refused. I explained that this isn't just a crush from a seemingly straight friend. This is an unhealthy, psychotic obsession. He completely denied that he was in danger and seemed embarrassed more than anything. I told him that X actually started creeping on him months before the relationship begun and took all those creep shots. Besides, the browsing history and bookmarks were specific to him. It would make anyone freak out. When I showed him the pictures of his clothes, he was very confused and asked why X would steal his dirty clothes. But he still didn't want to go to the police. My plan was actually to confront my ex in public, but my brother just straight away texted him to come over. Side note, he arrived super fast. I wonder what he was expecting. When X came, I showed him the laptop and asked him to explain. The entire situation was so bizarre. While I was talking, he seemed incredibly angry. I've never seen such a look on his face before, but then he calmed down and casually confessed to everything. He said that it was just a habit he got into and that he's truly sorry. At that point, my brother said that it is probably a prank and that it wasn't funny, etc. I started crying a little, and X rolled his eyes and told me to stop crying. He was so nonchalant and cold. I didn't even recognize him anymore. Then he said that he would immediately stop doing this if we kept this to ourselves. I think my brother finally believed him then, because he was absolutely dumbstruck. X said that he'd take down the cameras too, and that we shouldn't make a big deal out of it. I asked him where the cameras are, and he proceeded to show us. He probably thought he was a good guy for cooperating with us and that it would make the situation less creepy. Turns out, there was a camera in the shower as well. It was nauseating. The conversation that followed was extremely uncomfortable, and X said some very provocative / inappropriate things. They ended up having a huge argument about the stolen clothes amongst other topics, and the rest was pretty awful. I eventually went to stay at a friend's place. I'd already packed my stuff anyway. Later that night, X texted me that I'm a bad person for invading his privacy and that I'm selfish, narcissistic, a bad human being, etc. He said that he's willing to forgive me though. Yeah, he really said that. I blocked his number and on everywhere. A day later, he came to me at work and I told him to stay away from me. He did that every day for 1 week at different locations until I seriously threatened him. He said that he never cared about me anyway and wished me luck for my future relationships. A couple of days ago, my brother texted me. We haven't spoken at all since that day and apologized, but he still refuses to address the elephant in the room. He's just pretending it never happened. I told him that X is clearly not stable. Why would you not notify the police? I honestly don't know what to do. Is there a way I can report this, just in case? And oh, by the way, it was his 21st birthday yesterday, and I called him in the morning. He told me that he got a present from an unknown sender. I said that sender is probably not unknown to us. Like this is 100% my psycho ex. I just know it is. As I said, this isn't a positive update. A lot of people seem to be concerned, and that's the only reason I posted this. I just hope things don't get worse. And I mean, that is just crazy. I think it's crazy that the OP's brother didn't go to the police. He had a camera in the shower. I mean, let alone all of the other creep pictures that were taken of him sleeping and undressing, doing all those things. Obviously, that is so creepy. But he had a camera in his shower. That was probably like a live stream almost. Like that is as intrusive and disturbing as it can get. And you could easily go to the police with that information. But for whatever reason, neither the OP or the OP's brother wants to go to the police to report this. I just find that very, very odd. But let's get into some of the top comments. Someone says, girl, take that whole laptop to the police. I'm not kidding. This is very serious. If your brother ends up dead, you will never forgive yourself. And then someone else says, this needs to be higher up. OP, this guy is showing serious signs of a true psychopath and future serial killer behavior. You are not safe, and neither is your brother. Take that laptop and go to the fucking police now. Don't wait. Don't worry about anything else. And check your brother's house for more cameras instantly. If the police doesn't, this is something you don't just stop doing. It's still happening now. You didn't notice before, and you probably wouldn't have noticed it for months if you didn't look on the laptop. The way he talks to you and views the world is truly disturbing, and the way he told you to stop crying, that's psychopath behavior. How he went calm, same thing. There is a real fucking chance he will try to be near to your brother in some other way, and he'll do something much worse to him than just pictures. Go to the police. Stay safe. And I absolutely agree with both of these commenters. Like, this guy is showing clear signs of just obsession of the OP's brother. He's not going to just stop. People like this don't just stop until they get apprehended or seriously disciplined in some sort of way. Like, this guy is not going to just be like, you know what, I got caught, I'm going to leave it. No, he's going to keep stalking the boyfriend or the OP's brother, most likely, which is very concerning, obviously, but that's the exact reason why the OP needs to go to the police. They can't just leave it. And also, the commenter brought up a good point. There's probably cameras elsewhere. I mean, the shower obviously is like a relatively obvious one for a creep to put it, but it could be in his closet, in his bedroom, in another place in the bathroom, anywhere. Like, you have to comb the house for any other extra cameras, because that's probably not the only one. I don't know why everyone here is being so relaxed about this, but they just need to go to the police. And then the OP left us with one final comment saying, I definitely won't post another update. This is the last one. And I forgot to mention, but I have the laptop. He said that he was doing us a favor by letting us keep it. I mean, he didn't really put up a fight about it, but thanks for your concern either way. And that is the last we have ever heard from the OP, and just a very weird situation. I wonder if the OP ever went to the police about this. I mean, I would have, but they seemed very against going to the police for whatever reason, and just a very odd and creepy situation, because most likely the OP's boyfriend, or ex-boyfriend now, will continue the stalking one way or another. It's just very concerning, and hopefully nothing else came out of this, and hopefully the ex-boyfriend stopped stalking, but who knows with these people. And now I just hope that the OP and the OP's brother are safe now and away from this obsessive stalker. OP's journey from Redditor of the day to the most hated person on Reddit. And I did talk about this user in one of my old disturbing Reddit users videos, but I never read out the full, story and the full posts and threads and all of that stuff. So let's get into that now. And it is very, very disturbing, but let's get into it. And just a quick synopsis beforehand, this is a deep dive post that peeks behind the curtain into the life of a person who went from being a beloved Redditor and mentor to one of the most hated Redditors of all time. And the OP posted, Reddit, can you please help me? For 5 years, I have lived with this and I do not know what to do. And the post reads as follows. I hate to put something this personal out to everyone on Reddit, but I am desperate. 5 years ago, on Internet Marketer agreed to do a venture with my company at the time. He then tried to claim I owed him thousands of dollars in commissions, which was false. He threatened that if I didn't pay him, he would ruin my reputation. He posted a false rip-off report on me in 2005, a total lie, claiming I stole from his checking account. This now comes up as the #1 search result on Google when searching for my name. In 2005, I started losing clients. Sales became impossible to make. Sometime later that year, I ended up losing the company, which was at the time low-end valued at $600,000. I lost everything. Those who took it over ran it into the ground, thus hurting my reputation even further. Obviously, I know that rip-off report alone didn't cause that. There were a lot of factors, but the rip-off report certainly didn't help. The bottom line is that for the last 5 years, I have had to struggle with the fact that the first result on Google for my name is this rip-off report lie. I have lost great opportunities, and it has been a great struggle. Everyone does a Google search if they plan to work with someone. A claim, even false, that you are a thief showing up on result number 1 doesn't help. Just imagine if the first search result for your name was a lie claiming you're a thief. How would that affect your friends, family, work, etc.? I've contacted ripoff reports and they don't care. It is bringing traffic to their site, and so they will do nothing. They do not care to validate whether or not the claim is even true. For 5 years, I have struggled because of that lie. Even friends and family want me to explain it. I did not do anything wrong. I've tried to do good for others continually, and to have all of that shoved aside because of one very loud lie, I must admit, is quite depressing. Is there anything I can do here? Does anyone have a suggestion for me? And then the OP makes an edit saying, totally unrelated, except in the whole let's mess up Carl's life area. Another company has been selling stuff on YouTube/Google Video using video excerpts of me from a presentation I gave a few years back. They never asked my permission, never paid me. I do not endorse what they sell. I don't really bother with that much because it doesn't matter that much in the grand scheme of things. And the video probably gets 3 views a month anyways, if that. I figured I might as well mention that too. And then someone says, why not change your name? And then the OP says, while this whole thing has hurt me a great deal, it has not destroyed me. Although a struggle, I have managed to build a good career in spite of it. I work with many people on a daily basis, and they know me by name. Changing it would really not be an option, even if I wanted to. Someone else said, get a lawyer, sue, etc. And the OP said, gladly. But it is easier said than done. I've talked to lawyers before, and the whole thing is very complicated. There are multiple states, multiple entities, etc. Do I sue Google, rip off report, the individual who posted it? Do I sue in Arizona, New York, Pennsylvania? For what do I sue for? At what cost? I have no idea where/how to begin. Most lawyers I talked to basically told me it would cost a lot of money, tens of thousands of dollars, and I would more than likely lose than win. Also, there are statutes of limitations, many complex factors. I would gladly pursue that if I had some kind of concrete plan. I do not want anyone to post negatively about the individual who did this. I will not stoop to that level, and I hope no one else does either. Being on Ripoff Report is a very lousy experience, and I do not wish it on anyone. And so far, it's just a innocent guy asking for help, clearing his name from Google search because it's ruining his business and ruining his life. And it's gonna get a lot worse from here, trust me. And then the OP says, in short, for those willing/able, creating links with Carl Harold on pages already indexed on Google, as well as creating pages that are indexed on Google that have Carl Harold in the title will help. Basically to help push this ripoff report down in the search results. Hopefully. Last night, I registered my name with a bunch of different .coms, as was suggested. Somehow, I have no clue how, but somehow the .com didn't go through and ended up getting registered by some Chinese company this morning. At any rate, at least I have the .net/.org. I just want to tell everyone thank you. When I made this post, I was really feeling down. Just seeing everyone's support has helped me feel a ton better. Even if nothing else comes out of it, thank you all. And then the OP gives us an update saying, a few days ago, I posted on Ask Reddit asking if anyone could help me remove or fight against a lie that has been the #1 search result for my name and damaging my reputation for over 5 years. Many of you took it upon yourselves to help me by posting links and content with my name all over the internet via Reddit, Twitter, and just about everywhere else. Amazingly, so many of you did this that for part of June 30th, my name was actually the 5th most searched for item on Google worldwide, even beating Larry King on the day of his announced retirement. Many of those searches came from people who just happened to see my name from your posts and went to Google to figure out why so many people were saying it. Reddit, in a matter of less than 12 hours, you shifted the search behavior of the entire internet in much the same way as a major geopolitical event. At least tens, if not hundreds of thousands of searches were done for a search term that prior to the point had few, if any, searches. Enough searches were done to result in the automated creation of over 200,000 new web pages containing my name. Many of these pages were automatically created by companies that create content pages designed to rank high for popular search terms. The overall effect has been a brute force nullification of the web page containing the lie. And here we are on July 4th, and finally, after 5 years, That lie is completely gone from the first 5 pages of search results on Google and all other search engines, and it seems to be dropping more every day. Further, many other pages containing my name now rank high on Google, including automatically generated pages that have nothing to do with me, as well as pages about other individuals who share my name. Nothing negative therefore stands out against me. For 5 years, I've had to live with the stigma of this lie. I've had to explain it to friends, family, and business associates. I no longer have to live with that. Thank you to everyone on Reddit who helped, including Obly Frank from Name Repair, who saw my original post and agreed to help me for free. In the post we just read is an example of how Carl presented himself as an inconspicuous and normal Redditor who people were glad to help. And now brace yourself for the rest of the post, which summarizes his online and real life actions, and they are nothing short of horrifying. A user created a post on r/unresolved mysteries that exposed every part of Carl H. Titled, Carl H. once made a following for himself online with his free computer programming lessons, but was later exposed as a horrific psychopath with ties to an interstate exploitation ring. He committed S-word in prison and escaped justice. So what were the full extents of his crimes? And yeah, that escalated quickly. From the innocent guy we were just kind of talking about earlier and reading his post, him just wanting to clear his name, to a man who had links to a interstate exploitation ring. Horrible. And now let's get into the post. Carl Harold had some minor internet fame before, and after, he committed some of the most horrific crimes imaginable. Carl is a unique kind of internet horror story, and has fascinated me for a long time. While he left a footprint online, what he did is shrouded with mystery. Obviously, the court documents are sealed, but we know Carl was on trial for R-wording his own son, filming it, and selling it online. However, this wasn't really a contained situation at all, and Carl's S-word left a string of unanswered questions. Let me explain. Part 1. Carl the Redditor. I'm summing up Carl's life here. We don't know his exact date of birth, but since he was 33 in 2014, let's say he was born in 1981. For reference, according to law enforcement, Carl was born and raised in Wyoming, but never stayed in one state for too long as an adult. Carl joined Reddit in 2006 and was one of the earliest users, and his account is a treasure trove to understanding his mind. In his early days, Carl was mostly active in debates about religion and politics. He was a real Bible thumper back then, and notably went to war with people on the comment section of a clip from Jesus Camp where he argued that he had grown up Christian and attended Jesus camps and it had never done him any harm. This is actually the most we know about Carl's early childhood. Carl's religious beliefs were strange and a little extreme. He believed cursing was morally repugnant, he thought homosexuality was a one-way ticket to hell, and most Christians are more lenient on it now, and was sick of people justifying it. He had a unique belief that it was a sin not to tell people they were sinning, and claimed support for the Westboro Baptist Church. His beliefs were so extreme, he said he was going to homeschool his then 3-year-old son to protect him from being drilled with atheism. In a badly aged comment, he says this: I would prefer the balance to be tipped towards me as opposed to tipped toward the school. Perhaps my child will spend 3 to 4 hours in a real school each day and spend the rest with me. Actually, I really like that idea. And like the original writer said, a badly aged comment. So disturbing. But let's continue. In 2009, Carl started to offer completely free computer programming lessons on Reddit and YouTube and did really fucking well. They were apparently as good as a college course. They're still up, so try them for yourself. And he was a great teacher. The worst part is that Carl put genuine effort into these. They were by no means half-assed. And since he was making no money from them, well, that's pretty amazing, right? He only asked for optional donations in return, which would be a very good way to launder unexplained money. His lessons didn't go unappreciated, and he became something of a Reddit superstar. Carl reveals a lot more about his personal life in this narcissistic Ask Me Anything in 2010, where he's obviously embraced his Reddit celebrity status. He says that, at 22 years old, He was a high school dropout with no money who started his own company. He claims he taught himself programming in middle school, and the gist of his company was that it would actually work for companies, tracking how much people viewed their websites. Carl comes off arrogant and dull here, droning on about the inner workings of his company, as well as how he's oh so clever. However, he says the company was really no success because he said he made terrible business decisions and it went under. He says he used to make a lot of money, but went broke and started to struggle with money in 2004/2005 because of personal things. This is when his son would have been born, and said he had done it for years, but his financial situation has been picking up for unknown reasons. One commenter joked that Carl lost his business because he spent it all on escorts and booger sugar. And Carl replies, "The most I did with my money was take my wife to Hawaii." Around the same time, Carl told a story about why his business really went under. Apparently, he was blackmailed by a guy he worked with who eventually left a rip-off report that said Carl stole $1,000 from him. Carl's business went under from there, and this relates back to what we read in the beginning, which was Carl's post. He said this is the first thing that comes up when you Google his name, and he wants it gone. The commenters went through an actual effort to change this by posting positive comments about him online until the ripoff report was buried. In his next post, Carl thanks everybody who helped. Just read the comments and see how much everybody loved this man. Anyway, Carl was a businessman at heart and knew how to manage these people. He was a lot more careful with personal information and beliefs in his later years on Reddit, and just sculpted the image of the Reddit nice guy. He replied to every comment he got like he was replying to a work email. Really, you can tell there's something off. He never has a laugh with people or seems passionate. He's a machine. In Carl's 2012 Redditor of the Day post, he declares some personal information. He says that he lives in New York. He says he is married. He says his family is the most important thing to him. A comment that always stuck out to me is when someone asks him what the most embarrassing moment of his life is, he replies that he showed up to a girl's house with a pimple. There's just something entirely unnatural about this comment, as though he Googled what embarrassing things can happen to someone and just wrote down something he found. A personal friend of Carl's posted this and filled in some of the gaps about Carl. And what this is basically just how he knew Carl for a long time. And I'm not going to get into it. I don't think it's that necessary for the story. And let's continue. Carl married young and had a horrible relationship with his family. It turned out his wife left shortly after his son was born, and he raised him alone. They said they were shocked as Carl really did seem to love and care about his son. And by late 2013, Carl had stopped using Reddit. Some people questioned it, but in December 2013, articles emerged that said a Carl Harold was arrested for this and began to question if it was Carl H. himself. And what this was felony examination set for man accused of numerous cheese pizza charges. So horrible. And if we get into this, a man accused of several cheese pizza related offenses has had his felony examination set. Carl Harold, 32, has been charged with permitting a child to engage in horrible things and production of horrible things with kids, and more of the cheese pizza. He is accused of videoing and photographing a very young person, and God, it's just so horrible. Harold's felony examination is set for December 11th. He is currently being held on a $150,000 bond in the Madison County Jail. And this is what people saw. And they're just like, holy shit, is this the Carl H that everybody loves? And let's continue. Although there is some confusion on how Carl was caught out, it appears police found the videos and identified Carl's son, him or Charles Donovan, and tracked them down. Carl was arrested in Alabama. Allegedly, Carl had held his son as a virtual captive and inflicted horrible abuse on him for a period of 8 months until his arrest in November 2013. This is the period where he was less active online and eerily dropped in to say he'd been online less because of family issues. His only source of income was his programming courses, and he worked from home. Charles was his domestic partner / husband and was being charged as a confidant. This is also weird as Carl was very defensive about being straight and actively hated gays. That's their words, not mine. The son had been subjected to horrific abuse. Like, I can't even begin to speak these words. And reportedly, whatever had been done to him was so bad that jurors left the room to puke. Oh my God. Carl was charged with filming these crimes and sharing them online. Charles was not charged with this, and weirdly, most of Carl's charges were to do with conspiracy and complicity, and only Charles was charged with the bulk of the issues. Charles was charged with giving the young person, and the young person being Carl's kid, an STD. Jesus, man. And Carl didn't get that. Carl denied everything to the point of actively interrupting detectives when they testified what he had done. While it might seem Charles was the true ringleader in the situation, Carl was pulled up on more than this. In May 2014, more charges were brought against him. He had 10 counts of producing videos in upstate New York between August 2011 and March 2013 with a very young person. The way they put this seems like this kid a different person to his son, although the ages would line up. Do you think this is Carl's son as well, or do you think it's a second victim? Charles was not charged in connection to this. Sadly, Carl committed S-word in prison in November 2013 when the investigation, which police said was spanning all over the country and could involve the arrest of dozens more men before he could answer for his crimes and be convicted of anything. In my opinion, justice was not served. Charles got 36 years in prison and the crimes faded away, and I can't find anything about any more arrests. And I mean, this case is just so disgusting, obviously. But I just think it's so insane how he started off as this kind of relatable guy that everybody loved. I mean, in the beginning, that's why I wanted to read that first post, because it just kind of made him relatable. You're like, oh, well, I can see why people like this guy. And then it comes out that he is more of a monster than anyone could have ever imagined. I mean, like the title said, he went from one of the most loved on Reddit to the most hated ever. And I mean, deservedly so. He was just a disgusting monster who did horrible things to his own son and abused him just so much, and just it's just horrible. He just did crimes that are beyond unforgivable. And I mean, it's just jaw-dropping. I did cover this case a while ago, but I've never read out it all in full, and it is just so disgusting and horrible. But I mean, it's just crazy how he went from so loved to just the most hated. It's just crazy how this man was just harboring this deep, dark secret. And I just think it's so disturbing how some people have some of the most darkest secrets that no one knows for a long time until it eventually comes out, like we saw here. But at least he got some sort of justice, and he's not still free doing whatever he was doing. But yeah, it's just so horrible, and I feel so bad for his son. Hopefully his son is somewhat recovered and living a better life now, away from his horrific abuser. My old stalker is back, and my husband is making me feel like I'm the crazy one. Hi. Sorry, this is my first time writing in, and I don't know what to do, so I'm just going to jump in. I'm using a throwaway because I'm sure my actual account is being watched. Also fake names. So I, 32 female, and my husband, 33 male, have been arguing a lot recently over my old stalker. For some background, back in college, I was 24. I dated a guy, let's call him Fred, for about 2 months. Fred was interesting, to say the least. To save time, he had several red flags once we started dating, so I dumped him. Fred acted like he couldn't care less, so I thought that was that. A few months go by, and I'm starting to see Fred everywhere. I see him at the grocery store I go to, my go-to nail place, my favorite restaurants, etc., etc. I thought it was just a coincidence, so I left it at that. A year after our breakup, he starts messaging me, telling me he was the happiest with me and that he misses me so much. I called bullshit and blocked him. Then things started to escalate. Fred changed numbers every time I blocked him, made new social media accounts, and I started to see his car everywhere. I tried getting a restraining order against Fred, but since he hadn't done anything to me, they couldn't do anything. A few months later, I was walking to my car at night. Fred, coincidentally, saw me walking alone and offered me a ride home. I said no, that I had my own car, and kept walking. Fred proceeded to get out of his car and tried pushing me to his car. I punched him and ran to my car. I drove away, and luckily, he didn't follow me. I tried again to get a restraining order, but it was basically his word against mine. They gave me a temporary restraining order, but that's it. I was terrified of even walking outside and deleted all of my socials. Thankfully, a very close friend, let's call him Pete, stepped in to defend me. Pete ended up threatening Fred, and I finally stopped hearing from Fred. I felt free and slowly got back into my normal life. Now fast forward to present day. I'm now married to my husband. I've graduated from college and live alone with my husband. We moved to a nearby city and bought a house together. Sadly, a month ago, Pete died during his sleep, and I was absolutely devastated. I've known Pete since I was in high school, and he was my closest friend. To be honest, I'm still not over his death, and sometimes I can't believe he's gone. But guess who heard about his death? That's right, folks. Fred found out, and is now back. I received text from Fred a few days after Pete died. I now see him everywhere, and he's insisting we talk. I just walk away and ignore him. I've reported him, but nothing has happened, so I deleted my socials once again. Friends have been telling me Fred has been asking about me. He's asked if I moved, what am I doing lately, if I have other social media accounts, etc. I'm honestly terrified. I've moved since I finished college, but somehow I see him at my gym, grocery store, park, etc. It honestly makes me believe he never stopped watching me, and it's terrifying. I've told my husband about everything, and he says I'm overreacting or just plain ignores my concerns and changes the subject. I've argued that he doesn't care, and he argues back asking, what do I expect him to do? He says that Fred doesn't know where we live and that we'll just change gyms. My husband is telling me to just change my regular routine and stop going to certain places. He says it's no big deal and Fred is harmless. I'm like, Fred tried to force me into his car. How is that harmless? My husband has been distant ever since it started, and I feel alone. I don't want to tell my friends in fear. They will tell Fred. I can't go to my family because I'm in no contact with them. And of course, my husband couldn't care less. I need advice. What do I do? Am I crazy? Should I just change my gym and my routine like my husband says? Part of me just wants to move completely, but another part is basically asking myself, why do I have to uproot my life and change everything because of him? Can't he just leave me alone? It's been like 10 years already, and I want to move on from this. Should I just talk to Fred, hoping he'll finally leave me alone? And people in the comments have a lot to say. Someone says, I actually considered divorce over this. The way he is completely dismissing your very valid fears would be a deal breaker for me. He says Fred is harmless. Ask him what makes him believe that. The fact he is telling you to just change your routine just makes my blood boil. If you change your routine, the stalker feels satisfaction because he is able to control part of your life by what he is doing. And I do agree with that. And the OP does reply to a question of, what does your husband think? And the OP says, my husband thinks I'm overreacting and says if anything happens that Fred will end up in jail. And I hate when he says that because what does it even mean? Do I have to end up in a ditch for that I can finally be left alone? And I completely agree. That is like the worst way to think about it. Why would you be like, well, if he does anything, he's gonna be in jail? Well, that means Fred has to do something horrific to end up in jail. Why would you even want to subject your wife to that instead of doing something or saying something and helping her out? Like, that is just an idiotic way of thinking. And then the OP gives us an update saying, small update and some more information about my stalker situation. I'm still new to posting on Reddit, so for the first part of my post, it should be on my account. My friends don't talk to Fred, and they are aware of the situation. Fred has reached out to them randomly, asking about me. They have reported and blocked him as well. Now for the update. Last night, I decided to have a serious conversation with my husband one last time. I sat down with him and explained the whole situation again. Told him how scared I've been and that he needs to take this seriously. I wanted to show him how terrified I was, how small I've been made to feel, not just by Fred, but also him, how his lack of support/concern for my own safety is making me question our marriage. I asked if he'd even do anything if I was found in a ditch. He was silent this whole time while looking at the floor. We sat in silence for a few minutes before I got up to pack my things. My husband proceeded to cry. He apologized and said he'd make this right. He said he didn't want to overreact in fear of scaring me more, but when in reality, it made me feel more alone. My husband has been looking into Fred. without my knowledge, and has found out where he works, lives, and even Fred's family contact information. He wanted to gather more information about Fred before contacting a lawyer. We're both taking a few days off of work to get our ducks in a row. We're getting a lawyer and gathering evidence of Fred's harassment. We're also currently looking for a therapist where we can both talk about this situation and other issues we have in our marriage. I also have some voicemails Fred has left me, and I officially think he's lost it. I have an Apple iPhone, and you're able to see voicemails from blocked numbers. Some of the messages are him saying straight up gibberish, while others are as if he's having a conversation with me. He says things like, "Oh yeah, babe, I get off work late, so tonight is a no-go." Or, "I'm off, so you can come pick it up right now." "No, yeah, I don't know. I can't do this anymore. There's a lot of fashion in my life." It sounds like he's having a conversation, but it's no one else, just him, and it's terrifying. My husband does feel bad and is trying his best to console me. He has apologized repeatedly for making me feel lonely and has been more supportive/open. Currently, he's looking through my car to check if there's anything that might be giving my location to Fred. I'll keep you all updated if we find anything or if anything else happens. Thank you all for your advice and support. I've posted another update, so I think you can find it on my posts. And I think it's just kind of weird that the OP's husband wasn't telling the OP about it the whole time. It's like, why wasn't he just being open about it, being like, "I'm looking into Fred," instead of making his wife feel alone, you know? I think that's very odd that the OP's husband was just kind of keeping that a secret, even though they could have collaborated on the effort of finding more information on him and getting a case against him. I just find it strange that the OP's husband was doing that separately. But let's get into the OP's second update, and it reads as follows. Wasn't sure if I should make an update, but decided to anyways to maybe get some advice. Thank you to everyone who gave me advice and encouragement. I finished listening to the book, The Gift of Fear, and it really opened my eyes to a lot. Now onto the update. After my husband didn't find anything in my car, I still felt something wrong, so I took people's advice and took my car to the mechanic. I told my mechanic about my situation and if he could take a look at my car. And to my horror, a couple of days later, my mechanic found a small little cube that was placed hidden under my car. At first, I really wanted to believe it was just a part of my car or something, but my mechanic explained that it wasn't and it was deliberately hidden. The cube is really small and magnetic. I called my lawyer right then and there and told him everything. I got pictures of the GPS and where it was placed. I thanked the mechanic and drove to my lawyer's office. At this point, I was shaking and wanted to cry. How long had the GPS been there? How long has Fred been following me without my knowledge? Was he watching me at the moment? Is he going to add another one? I called my husband to meet at my lawyer's office and told him everything. At the office, I just wanted to disappear. I wanted to run away and not look back. I was terrified and I felt so violated, knowing I was being watched for who knows how long. With everything we had gathered, my lawyer was able to get a temporary restraining that same day. We are currently going through the process of getting a restraining order where I will have to go to court and see Fred again. My lawyer says the process can be long and draining, but it's something I do need to get for my own safety. I got a bit scared and had my husband's car also checked for anything. Thankfully, nothing was found in his car. I started feeling watched at home, so I had my whole house turned upside down looking for anything maybe Fred had placed. Again, thankfully, nothing was found. I've told my neighbors about what we found and to keep an eye out for anyone suspicious. I've also started my safety training for handling a gun and shooting, and still trying to get my CCW, but it can be a long process. Thank you again for everyone who's given me advice, and I'll keep you updated if Creepy Fred tries anything. And yeah, that is just so terrifying. I mean, obviously it was already creepy, but Fred placed a GPS tracker in the OP's car and was stalking him. That is so terrifying. And this is the last update we have received from the OP. It's been about 8 months since we last heard from the OP, and so I just have to hope that everything's going smoothly. But it's confirmed that the stalker was obviously stalking her with a GPS, and the OP is now getting a license to carry and all that, which is good, so she can protect herself. But geez, just such a creepy situation. I mean, she's been being stalked from this guy for a long, long time. And like I said, it's been about 8 months, so hopefully nothing extreme has happened. But for now, we're just kind of left in the dark. We have no idea what's happened, but hopefully nothing crazy, like I said. And I just wish the best for the OP and her husband, and for this guy to stop following her and making her life a living hell. My girlfriend tried to push me off a cliff as a joke. My girlfriend, 20 female, is completely crazy, but mostly in a good way. Spontaneous is an understatement. Sometimes she goes too far, but I love her for her crazy personality. I am 18 male and more relaxed, and we balance each other out. 2 recent incidences really freaked me out though, and I need advice. I was driving on the highway with a lot of traffic. We were going maybe 40 miles an hour. She suddenly started tickling me and wouldn't stop when I yelled at her. I jammed on the brake and someone almost hit us from behind. I asked her what the fuck is wrong with her, but she just laughed about it and told me to chill. I said, "What would make you want to do that?" And she said, "I don't know, just felt like it." Then last Saturday, I was hiking with her and I was standing near this steep cliff. I'm usually wary of her because you never know what she's going to do, even though it's usually just a prank or something. I let my guard down and she went behind me and pushed me towards the cliff, and I swear I almost fell off. She did it hard and I ended up right at the edge. She was laughing so hard. I freaked out and started screaming at her, and I might have been out of line, but holy shit. She laughed about it at first, but then she started crying and saying she was sorry. The next day, she started texting me saying that she didn't mean any harm and she just didn't know, that I'd get so mad at her for doing that. Am I crazy for even thinking about this? Is it possible she's just immature, and if I get back with her, she'll be different? I'm kind of lonely and I really love her, but this really made me rethink the situation because now I feel like she's legit crazy, not just fun crazy. Thanks for your advice. And then the OP said something crazy in the comments. The OP said, "I just remembered that she told me a story when we first met about how she tricked an allergic friend into eating some nuts and how funny it was. I guess I shouldn't have written that off." And then everyone in the comments is saying stuff like, "Dude, you need to get out of there because you might not make it out alive." Someone says, "Bruh, she tried to kill you twice," then proceeded to laugh about it. "The next time, you might not be here to tell the story." And then someone else comments saying, "Your girlfriend has a serious problem, especially seeing you say she gave an allergic friend nuts because she thought she was funny. It's just frightening. This is not normal. This isn't even considered crazy personality. She has some serious mental issues that she needs to be professionally addressed." And then the OP gives us an update, and the update reads as follows. He says, "I've been thinking a lot and I decided that I'm ending my relationship with her. This isn't easy for me. It's hard because I've been with her for almost 2 years, but it's even harder because now I feel a ton of guilt myself as I remembered things that I ignored and how I was only worried about her after I became the victim. I mentioned that point in the other thread, but I feel even worse about it now. I know I was stubborn in the last thread, but I listened to everyone's advice very carefully. You all helped so much. When people brought up the sadism aspect, it sort of clicked. I don't know if it was stupidity or selfishness, but I didn't think of her that way until this week. I just ignored everything she did. I thought about some memories using this new perspective. I remember early this year, her dad got a job at the front desk at this apartment complex. It's hard to explain this place because it was sort of a luxury place and most apartments aren't like this. But I was there once or twice to pick her up, and I remember what the building looked like. There were a lot of older people living there, and right near the entrance of the building, there was an elevator which only went up. Then there was the main elevator, which was kind of far down a long hallway. She had to call that first elevator down after the person was approved to go into the building. One time, me and her were smoking and just chilling, talking about stuff. She was laughing to me about how she would sometimes disable the up elevator and pretend it was out of order. And then she'd watch these older/handicapped people walk down this long hallway to get to the main elevator. She got fired pretty quickly anyway because she activated the fire alarm when there was no fire. When they asked her what happened, she pretended that the computer was glitching and she couldn't stop it. But they believed she did it on purpose, so they fired her. I'm sure some people could have been injured during the chaos. I guess the alarm must have disabled the elevators, so everyone had to grab their stuff and run down the stairs as quickly as possible. I can imagine all these elderly people going down so many flights of stairs. I don't think anyone was injured, but they did fire her, and maybe they're still investigating. I don't know if it could help, but I'm going to call that place and tell them what she told me and how she admitted to pulling the alarm on purpose. That'll help my conscience out a lot. And like I said, I feel terrible about ignoring this stuff. You might think I'm an idiot or a terrible person myself. I don't know what to say, but when I really thought about this stuff, I decided I just couldn't be with her. I know people will criticize me, and that's fine. This is an update, but also a confession, to be honest, because I have to get that off my chest. And there's a bunch of other stories too that she told me or that I saw myself. I enjoyed her craziness, to be honest, even though I was always on edge, but I thought of it as her being fun and spontaneous instead of sadistic. I guess I'm pretty weird myself. I responded to her text this morning because she was starting to get angry and was sending a lot more texts. I told her I was really sick and thought she couldn't be near me, but that we might be able to hang out again in a week or two. I said I wasn't mad at her anymore, and I just didn't respond because I was sick. I just told her that to get her off my back and to give myself some time to prepare for the breakup because I don't know how she's going to react and I want to be safe. For example, she has keys to my house and I'm living with other people, including kids, so I want to change the locks and make sure we're not tied together in any other ways before I do an official breakup. Do you think that's a smart idea? I could use any advice on the best way to do a breakup in this situation because I'm kind of worried. Once again, thanks so much for all your advice last time and have a good day. And then everyone in the comments is like, yes, absolutely change your locks and let your roommates know and let the kids know. Let everyone know that she might be dangerous or do something crazy. And then the OP gives us a second update titled, well, it's over. I officially broke up with her. I sent a short text earlier today. I wasn't mean, I just said it wasn't working out and we should both move on. She was surprisingly very understanding. She was emotional at first, but I know, despite our differences, that she does love me. When she saw how I felt and when we talked about it in more detail, she was convinced that the breakup was best for the both of us. We talked on the phone and I could tell that her feelings were 100% genuine. I know her so well and I'm really gonna miss her. Before this conversation though, I did a bunch of stuff just in case something went wrong. I tried to change the locks, but I don't want to tell my parents about this because I knew they'd get pissed at me. I couldn't do it without their permission. But now I see it was unnecessary to do it. I also told some friends what was going on, changed my passwords, and tried to close one bank account that we both have access to. It didn't work, but whatever. It doesn't matter now anyway since she's being so good about all this. I'm so happy that it's over and that we won't have any problems. She reminded me about an old Chromebook that she had left in my house. It's been there for months and I forgot all about it. That's the only valuable thing she has in this house, but she's gonna come over in an hour or two and pick it up. Then we'll say our final goodbyes. While she's here, she's gonna give me back the house key. I told her I needed it to give to a neighbor. I won't lie, I cried earlier today and I'm still very emotional. I know this is the right thing to do, but it's so hard. I could have left the Chromebook outside the house or mailed it to her, but whatever. But I want to see her one more time. I want to hug her again. She loves my little bro and she's always so excited to see her. I want her to make him laugh one more time. I just want a proper goodbye and to make sure we're on good terms. The last time I saw her in person, I was furious and she was crying. I've ended the relationship. I won't go back now, but I can't leave it like it was. After today, it'll be no contact. I'll update you when it's over, so you have the full story of how exactly it went. To address some stuff, I mentioned in the last thread that I was going to report her to the former workplace for how she admitted to abusing those handicapped people and pulling the fire alarm. I decided against it because she's already been fired and I'm pretty sure the management of that place has moved on. I don't want a reporter trying to push me off a cliff either because it might just make her seek revenge in some way. A lot of people wanted me to find the allergic person she gave nuts to and file a report about that, but I don't even know that person's name. She might not have even told me, but I don't remember anyway. I have a lot of incidents I could go on to the police with, but honestly, I'm so happy that our breakup will be so smooth, and I don't want to make it worse. Maybe I'm selfish, but at least for now, I'm gonna avoid taking legal action. Also, in all honesty, I don't think she's too far gone. I think she can change, and I hope she does change, and doesn't need to get in trouble to become a better person. I know she can do it because deep down, she's a good person like we all are. Thanks for all the support. What a crazy time in my life, but I'm glad I got past it. I appreciate everyone's help so much. I couldn't have done this without all your advice. I just can't thank you enough. And it's been 5.5 years since his last update. And he did tell us he was going to update us when it's over. So hopefully he's not dead, because he said he was going to update us right after. And yeah, like I said, it's been 5.5 years since the last update. And I looked at his account and literally the last comment he ever made was, "She'll be here in a few minutes, so I'll tell you all how it went in a little when we're done." So that's pretty concerning. I mean, I'm not saying the OP's girlfriend killed him, but that's concerning that he literally said, she'll be here in a few minutes, I'll update you guys, and it's been 5.5 years. And everybody in the comments is like, well, fuck, he's dead. I don't know if it's that far, but that is actually pretty concerning. And everyone's saying the same thing. Someone says, the fact that OP never made another update like he said worries me. Someone else replies saying, it's really ominous. Last comment saying she'll be there any minute and he'll come back right afterward doesn't exactly paint a rosy picture. And yeah, that's pretty concerning. Because like the OP outlined, like this wasn't a one-time thing. She continuously did things to just make people in pain. Like making the old people walk the super long hallway because she would make the elevator stop working, pulling the fire alarm so the old people had to go down the stairs, almost pushing them off the cliff, almost making them crash when driving. I mean, that's just a lot of coincidences that I don't think are coincidences at that point. Very concerning, but like I said, haven't had an update in forever, so I really wonder what ended up happening, but that's really ominous how he just never made an update. I hope the OP's doing all right now. There's something wrong with my wife. I'm posting here because my wife does not use or even really know what Reddit is, and I can't speak to anyone else but my therapist about it. I've tried asking friends and family, but none of them understand the gravity of what I'm saying, honestly. I'm a 37-year-old man, and my lovely wife, who's 36, and I have little to no problems with each other. However, upon noticing little things that are mounting up to a rather terrifying level, I'm not sure I can ignore this anymore. She's a great person. She's done so much for me this whole marriage in respects that I do not want to have intimate time after a rather traumatizing experience that I don't want to get into. She does little things that shows she listens and cares about me, and I do the same for her. I want to stay with her because we've been married for 10 years now, and she is all I know. But lately, I just don't know what's going on and why she's acting the way that she is. The first notable time was when we found an egg on the curb. We assumed it was from our neighbor, given that they have chickens and maybe an egg rolled out or something. Without a second thought, my wife stomped on the egg. Now, I would have been fine had it been an infertile egg or a cooking egg without anything, but the entire fetus was seen and I threw up. She laughed, saying that it was funny, and at least the neighbors don't have to worry about another chicken. I told myself that it was just an egg and she had no idea that there would be a fetus inside of it. But her reaction afterwards rattled me. I brushed it off because, like I said, I love her. Maybe that is a stupid thing to do. I really love her, but the things continued, and my love for her is wavering. Some notable things I remember were stated below. We have a dog, we'll call him Butter. Butter is the most calm dog in the world, and housebroken and well-trained. However, one time he was very sick and irritated, and he went number 2 on the carpet. My wife screamed at Butter. Screamed. I told her to stop because the damage was done already, and Butter is a dog who is sick. I cleaned the carpet, and she never blew up at Butter again. But it rubbed me the wrong way with how mean she was to him. I understand that she was frustrated, but Butter started crying and trying to give her paw, and she kept screaming at him. My mom passed away in 2020, natural causes, but I was very close with her, and it took many years to accept it. I keep her favorite bracelet on a table with family photos of her and me. One day, it was missing and I had a panic attack. The bracelet was made by my mom's grandfather, and she wore it every day. It was a part of her. But when I told my wife, she told me that she sold it. I sobbed. I wasn't mad at her, just devastated. But soon after, the bracelet was back on the table, and I asked her about that. She started laughing and saying that you should have seen your face. When we were gardening, I noticed I dropped my keys. She was grouchy since it was hot, and she was planting flowers since the morning. When she found them, she threw them at my face and it cut my nose. She felt horrible, but that reaction threw me off. One time after work on Halloween, I was feeling particularly depressed for no reason. I don't blame her for this, but she played a prank on me and jump scared me, something we do every Halloween. I started crying and having a breakdown because it was kind of a last straw for me after my shift. She laughed and kept laughing, then went back to the living room and watched TV. One time on Facebook, we found out that a classmate had been in a car accident. I told her, and she shrugged, saying that she didn't really know her, so it doesn't matter. It's okay for her to not care about the victim, but the poor girl was heavily injured. and my memories of her from school were pleasant, and she genuinely didn't deserve what happened. My wife and I love horror. We are horror fans, but I cannot stand violence against animals. It disturbs me. So when we put on When Evil Lurks, as you can imagine, I threw up. The kicker is that she has seen it, but wanted to watch it with me since she loves it so much. I'm happy she loves it, but I would have appreciated a warning, which I vocalized. She shrugged it off, and that was that. That's a few, but the worst of it happened just yesterday. I tried my hardest to not say anything, but it might be my last straw. I was cleaning up our room and my wife was at work, and I found a journal buried underneath the mattress as I was swapping sheets. For some reason, I opened it and realized quickly that it was my wife's diary. I would have put it back if I didn't see the words on the page. I was horrified. She wrote that when she was driving, there was a line of geese crossing the street. Annoying, yes, but the thing you are supposed to do is wait. My wife wrote that geese are a useless species, so it shouldn't matter if a few get run over. Yes, she ran over 2 geese on the road. Again, I was horrified. I know what people will say, so I'm going to answer a few questions. I love her. I recognize that sometimes her behavior is unacceptable and concerning. I recognize the concern, which is why I'm here in the first place, but you all have to realize that for the past 16 years now, she's been my world. We dated for 6 years before getting married, and it's been 10 years since our wedding. In those 16 years, I've witnessed her go through horrific things, and she's witnessed the same. It's hard to sum up those 16 years, but it's difficult, and I'm already saying too much. I noticed the changes over the past 3 or so years. Even then, in the moment, I didn't see it as an issue until reading that little journal entry. I can't just leave her, but I can't act the same around her after finding that out. I realized that I need to confront her about what I saw, but truthfully, I am afraid. I never knew it was something she was capable of until I read it and started putting the pieces together. Whatever is going on, I don't know what to do with it. She has a therapist, and so do I. She seems genuine, but I don't know what to do, knowing that she willingly killed an animal without any remorse. Honestly, I just don't want to leave her. I met her young, and all I know is her. She's seen me through the most vulnerable parts of my life and vice versa. Her family and my family are basically intertwined. We all love each other. She's basically been there longer than when she hasn't. If I have to leave her, I think that'll be it for me. That'll be all I have. I'm 37, which isn't old, but also not desirable either. I don't even know why she had a crush on me because I personally don't think I'm desirable. I don't even know if this post will make any sense. I don't know if anyone will take the time out of their day to read my struggles. My therapist is on vacation, so I can't tell her yet. I need somebody to talk to because everybody that I'm telling brushes it off since she is a very sweet person to them. I just want to fix this. Edit, answering some general questions. I said she's witnessed horrific things. I mean that a family member of hers has passed and one of our mutual friends passed as well, but this didn't happen until months later. We have no kids. I had a rough experience I won't delve into that made me realize I am intimate, and I will ask her soon. And so just off this first post, you can really tell that the OP is kind of scrambling. I mean, he's really letting it all out for people to kind of digest and give him advice. He just seems very desperate for advice, and I just can't help but feel for him because he's like, my wife is acting completely different, and I don't know what to do. And ever since finding that diary, he's just kind of scrambling and wondering what to do. I mean, just looking for some sort of advice. I just feel bad for him. But anyways, let's get into some of the top comments and see what people's advice is for him. Someone said, I will be super honest with you. I was married for 9 long years to someone just like your wife. The last straw, one of my cats being beaten to the point of her face being so swollen that one eye was shut for a week, and she didn't get out of her hiding spot for 3 days. Urine and feces in the corner of a closet. I guess she couldn't bring herself to make a run for the litter box in case she would encounter him. I was out of the door in a week. It took everything from me, but I knew this would escalate. Don't wait too long, OP. This sounds like a psychopath/covert narcissism. Be safe. Take care, and please confide in family members or friends you trust. Let people know what's going on. Someone else says, OP, my ex and I were driving home and a raccoon ran out in the other lane way ahead of us. We did not even have to stop or slow down. My ex purposely switched lanes and sped up to hit and kill it. He is in prison now, years later, for a murder. Please notice the signs. And that seems to be the general consensus with all the commenters. People are saying, hey, this could get really bad really fast, so please be careful. And tell family and friends, because it's better for other people to be aware of it and it doesn't come out of nowhere. But anyways, the OP gives us an update 24 days later, and his update reads as follows. Answering some concerns. Thank you for your comments and your time. I've had a long month and there's a lot to say, but I honestly cannot stress enough how much your support and words, harsh or not, mean to me. I'll say what has been on my mind lately, but if anybody just came for this, here it is. I'm leaving my ex-wife, Anna, but we are still living together as I pack my things. I'm not really scared of her anymore, so that's her name. I sat down and had a conversation with her. Everything I wrote down and posted here was copy and pasted from Google Docs. I left some details out since they were identifiable for both Anna and I. I showed it to her and she blew up at me. I understand why she was angry. I did share information about our marriage and life on the internet. Her emotions were reasonable, but I started to get very irritable. She listened to the word vomit that I just spewed out. She didn't interrupt me or yell at me because I think she realized in that moment how badly it was all affecting me. I begged her to just hear me out, and surprisingly, she did. She admitted to me that she was also recognized that she was changing and told her therapist about it. Do I believe her? Not really. She said that she's been scaring herself and that she's been having anger issues flaring up that she's noticed, and as some of you predicted, she didn't want to give intimate time up, so she cheated on me with some guy she met at her job. Honestly, by the time she explained herself, I didn't care because I don't. With everything that has happened, this was the least shocking. I asked Anna genuinely if she loved the man she met, and she said yes, which hurt but also didn't seem like a surprise to me. I told Anna that if she didn't love me, I can divorce her and we can figure out the separation and home situation. She agreed far too quickly, but I was so emotionally exhausted and done with her shit that it didn't register how little she valued the marriage to just toss it out like it was nothing. I just told her that for the next day, she needs to get help. She agreed that she would check herself into the hospital. Some of you suggested a tumor, but that wasn't the case. Her explanation was that the other man got her into drugs. That's all I will say on that matter because it's all she told me. At this point, I don't even care what the reason was because the impact was the same. Honestly, I'll forever kick myself down for not recognizing any warning signs sooner. It should have never gotten to that point that it did, and while it may not have been my fault, I'm haunted every day by the thought that I could have been smarter and stopped her from doing everything that she did. When I say that she wasn't always like this, I mean it. She didn't give a specific date from when her affair started, so I can't pinpoint it to an exact event that happened. I miss the woman she used to be, the lovely girl I've known for almost 2 decades. I know this was something that had to be done, but no matter how many times I tell myself that, it doesn't make me feel any better. For those of you wanting to know, Butter is safe. He's a good boy, and she's staying with my sister while I pack up to leave. My wife never physically hurt him, but she has yelled at him a few times. It hurts not having him here all the time since my sister's house is 30 minutes away. But he's safe, and I actually see him tonight. I also informed my family about the situation. I didn't want to, but I knew it was necessary. They understand and apologize for their brushing off of the situation. But to be fair, I downplayed it, so that could also be why they didn't see it as an issue. Her family knows we are splitting up as well. As for me, I don't really have friends that are available that often, so I've spent most of my time alone in the house and thinking to myself. It was our house at one point. I remember when we first bought it and how excited she was. My best friend and I are going out to eat together, so that's something to look forward to, I guess. And she's still admitted. I don't hear from her because they take your phone away at the hospital. I hope she can recover, but after everything that my therapist, family, best friend, and you guys have said, I can't bring myself to stay with her. Breaking it off felt like ripping my own arm off. I was devastated and still am. She seemed distraught as well, but I don't know what to believe anymore. I don't think she doesn't care about me. I think there's a part of her that still cares, but maybe I'm wishfully thinking. Even though everything, I can't be mad at her. But I know loving her isn't good for me. Is it wrong to forgive her? To see everything from her side, it hurts. It really does. I don't know anything but her. It feels like my life is over, even though it isn't. I don't want to date again, but I just want to connect with other people. It didn't click how isolated I was until I left. And I realize now that she is at fault for my lack of communication with anybody. If I had to conclude this jumbled mess of an update, it'd be this. I'm gonna be fine. It's only been like 2 weeks, but it's been the longest 2 weeks of my life. I realize that there are more people around that support and care about me. It honestly was really hard to accept that Anna was a disturbed individual who didn't love me. Sometimes I still convince myself that she does, but everybody around me states that she doesn't. And I'm coming to terms with this. It's progress. I spent more than 16 years with this woman tormenting me, and I have a warped perception of reality. It truly is not easy to experience any of this, and honestly, sometimes I want to come back to her. But I know that maybe I can find this woman or man for me that will love me the way I need to. I'm working it out in therapy, and honestly, I'm still frightened of Anna. But I am thankful that she was the catalyst to a new chapter of my life. I learned a lot from this. Mostly what love is and isn't. Thanks. You guys have good perspectives on things. I can't say that Reddit is what fixed my problems, but I can say that leaving was a result of the extra push you guys provided. I wish Anna the best, wherever the future takes her. While I'm sad that the future will not have me in it, I think this was the best for both of us, since she didn't seem to love me, and I now fear her. This should be the end of my updates. I don't really see this updating further unless something happens with her, and I want to be done with this, and I want to move on. And now let's get into some of the top comments. Someone says, be prepared for her to come crawling back to you, begging for another chance once she gets clean. Don't let her in because there's a pretty high chance she won't stay clean and she'll drag you down with her. Also be prepared that you're likely to get a call in a couple of years that she's OD'd. Wow, that got dark quick. But also I feel like we kind of brushed over so quickly how she was doing those disturbing things. I mean, like hitting the geese and then also stomping on the egg. Like, I feel like the OP never confronted her on it. Maybe he just never did. But I find that very concerning. I mean, obviously, I'm just wondering why she even did that. It's like, what was the catalyst of her becoming kind of psychopathic almost and wanting to harm animals, whether it's yelling at the dog, stomping on the egg, or running over the geese? Like, what started causing that? Was it the drug use? I don't know. But I just find that very, very disturbing, and it wasn't really brought up in the update. He kind of updated that she's no longer going to be in his life, but I was just wondering why she started doing that, and it doesn't seem like he ever confronted her about it, which I'm the most interested in, because it's just like, that's very, very disturbing, and that is just very concerning, obviously, and yeah, this is the last update we've ever gotten from him, so hopefully the OP is in a much better situation now, because yeah, things were going downhill quickly with her, it seemed. My wife is not my wife. My wife, female, 26, takes a multitude of drugs for her insomnia and OCD. And I said drugs, but just a bunch of prescription pills. She's been doing okay for her pill, though still struggles sometimes. She's been taking it for about 3 weeks now, which before she was on another pill for about 6 weeks. Last night, while rocking our son, the Blink camera in his room started blinking green. She texted me and told me to unplug it, and also our daughters. After laying him down, she started freaking out about the technology in our house. She said that they were watching her children, that the cameras needed to be ripped off the wall. I tried to reason with her, but she had this crazy look in her eyes and asked if I was working with them. Then, for the next 30 minutes, she went around and unplugged all of our technology, TVs, Google Home, took cameras off, etc., and put them in a box to hide in the bathroom. She then hid herself in the bathroom and wouldn't come out until I told her I believed her. I coaxed her upstairs and she told me she could see people in bed, but they weren't scary. She also said she could hear people walking, and while she was downstairs, someone kept walking up behind her. Shortly after, she fell asleep. However, I woke up this morning and she had moved to the couch. This morning, she seems out of it but remembers most of last night. She said she is still scared, that she didn't feel in control of her body last night, and basically is drawing in on herself. I almost called 911 last night because I was so worried she was going to try and take the kids. I'm still worried because what was that? Is she safe? Is she okay? Should she go to the hospital? Even if she feels normal now? It all happened out of the blue. And now let's get into some comments. Someone says, yes, go to the hospital, full stop. Tell them the meds she is taking along with any recent medication changes. She is having a psychotic episode and it can be treated in the hospital. Don't let this just self-resolve at home when there are children around, as she shouldn't be trusted with them currently. Someone else says 100% this. She might not be happy about it at first, but this is the best thing you can do for her health and for the safety of your family. Do not accept no in this instance. The sooner it's addressed, the better the chance of a good outcome. It is not her fault, but she is not herself, and psychosis can lead someone to completely wreck every aspect of their life. Until she is treated, do not leave her alone with the children. And then the OP responds to this saying, will the doctors even take her in if she seems okay? She's not talking about being watched anymore, but I do have her upstairs trying to nap, as she said her mind won't be quiet for her to sleep last night. I've messaged her psychiatrist already while I try to keep the kids quiet. We are hours away from family, but I'm going to call them anyway to head up here to help with the kids so I can help her. And that's a little bit concerning how the OP doesn't just immediately want to take his wife to the doctor, because I mean, if that was my wife in that situation, I'd be like freaked out and be like, we need to get you help ASAP. I don't know why he's being so kind of lax about that. I mean, last night she was saying, they're watching our kids. We got to take out all the technology, all that sort of shit. That's a really dangerous mindset to be in. And hopefully he takes her to the doctor. Someone else says, please OP, listen to this advice and take her to the hospital. A close family friend exhibited similar symptoms after giving birth. And one day her husband came home to the baby lying in the bathtub crying, while she was huddled in the corner having a full-blown conversation with Jesus, who apparently was in her toothbrush. That's an insane story by itself. Luckily, the child was not injured and she ended up getting better, but only because her husband got her medical help. Postpartum psychosis is not a death sentence unless you ignore it. And then the OP responds saying, first of all, thank you all for the advice and the concerns and well wishes. She tried to take a nap but couldn't fall asleep. She said she feels anxious and slightly paranoid, but otherwise okay. However, she is very scared of it happening again, as she said it felt like someone else controlled her. I'm getting ready to leave to drop her off at our psychiatric hospital. She is very worried about what will happen there, but if you are the praying type, the good vibes type, or whatever it is you do to well wish on people, it would be appreciated for her. I hate leaving her, but last night was terrifying for the both of us. I want her to get the help she needs and be okay. Someone else says, the prospect of staying at a psychiatric facility can be scary, but I'm sure knowing she has a partner who cares about her and loves her and is nearby will help. Just know that if she ends up inpatient, it can take a while for a bed to open up, which generally means sitting in the ER for a while. And then the OP gives us an update about a day later, saying, again, thank you all so much for the outreach of help and concern. It truly is amazing and gave me so many resources while we have been talking to doctors and everything. First, for the good news, my wife is okay. She is going to be okay. She got admitted into our psychiatric hospital for a few days to start some treatment that includes new medicine, counseling, getting established with an in-person psychiatrist and therapist. The doctors at the ER were amazing with her, and she got to call me from hospital phone to let me know she is feeling safe. Hearing her voice, though I can tell that she was tired, was amazing. The doctors and nurses on the phone were telling me how good it was that she came voluntarily, that her support system at home was good, and that so far she was being a cooperative and pleasant patient. I haven't had any childcare yet, as our family is driving up here to help our children. However, I was able to be on that phone to listen to what the thoughts of the psychiatrist are. Unbeknownst to me, that my wife told the doctors is that she has had an increase in paranoia and auditory hallucinations over the last weekish. She has told me different times this week how on edge she feels, but never explained further. I feel awful for not having noticed before. The psychiatrist told me she was at the right age for mood and thought disorders to start developing, specifically schizophrenia, but that normally one wouldn't realize until after their first episode of psychosis. Most people apparently don't even go to the ER after their first episode, brushing it off as a one-off thing. Obviously, they want to do more tests, get an image of her head with tons of blood work and more doctors. It sounded to me that's what they were leaning towards, which, I will not lie, scares me, as the only thing I know about that is from TV or movies. She told me there was medication that can really help manage that, and they wanted to start her on antipsychotics. She can have visitors tomorrow, and I'm bringing her all of her favorite comfy clothes, no strings or zippers, and I will sit with her once family gets home. I miss her so much, but I hope this helps her. Again, I want to thank this community so much for urging me to get her seen, even though she seemed fine. You all are lifesavers. For those who have similar stories, I see you, and I hope you and or your loved one is doing okay. Thank you again. And I'm just so glad that the OP ended up taking his wife to the hospital, because, yeah, this could have been very bad if he had not reported it. The OP's wife could have done something else crazy, done something to put his kids in harm's way or herself in harm's way. Who knows? But yeah, that first night just sounds crazy. She was just saying they're watching us and taking out all the technology. I mean, that's just wild. But I'm so happy that the wife is getting the help she needs, and hopefully they're doing all right now, and she's taking the correct medications to mitigate these symptoms and all that stuff. But yeah, if you guys are ever in a situation like this, please don't blow it off. Go to the doctor, get the help you may need, because, you know, it's better to be safe than sorry, especially with something dealing with mental health. So if you're ever in a situation like that, please just go to the doctor. I think that I genuinely hate my daughter. Posted on August 30th, 2022, and the post reads as follows. I've written here before, but I can't find my post. I was married to a very abusive man when I was very young. He held me prisoner in his own home and abused me on a daily basis. One day, he just up and left with another woman. It was like something answered my prayers. It was the first time in 15 years that I saw the outside of my home. I had 3 children with him. My sons were old enough to remember the abuse, but my daughter was only a couple of years old. We tried to shield her as much as we could from the truth, but she knew that he was abusive. Maybe not all the details. He contacted us 20 years later when he was terminally ill and wanted to see his children. My sons refused, but my daughter went to see him. Her brothers were very distraught by it, but I told them to let her be. He died 6 months later. When my daughter was pregnant, she found out that it was a boy, and she told me that she was going to name him after her father. I fainted at the thought. I couldn't believe her. I begged her not to do it, but she just said that she was sorry, but she didn't have the same horrible picture of him that we had. And she insinuated that I've lied about her dad. He probably poisoned her mind. I didn't know what to do, and my son said they didn't want anything to do with her anymore, but before that, without my knowledge, my sons met with her and her husband. They told them everything they remembered and everything they knew, all of the abuse and imprisonment. Her answer was, I'm sorry, but I don't give a shit. This is not my experience with him. I felt sick. The last time I saw her, when I tried to talk to her one last time, I was scared. I saw him looking back at me through her eyes, and I was that 18 years old prisoner. I knew I hated her there and then. She has given birth now, and she texted me a picture of her and her son. I deleted it before even seeing it. She has called and texted multiple times. Now she's saying I have turned her brothers against her. I did no such thing, of course, but I'm partially the reason why they don't speak to her. Why don't I feel more guilt or horror that I hate my own child? I never thought it's possible, and I've not admitted it to anyone because I'm so disgusted with myself. Life sucks. And now let's get into some of the top comments. Someone says, damn, I actually don't blame you. I mean, I don't have any children, so I don't know how a mother should and shouldn't feel, but I understand you. Have you talked to a therapist about this? And the OP replied saying, I'm in therapy, yes. I feel guilty, and yet I find myself incapable of loving her or her child. And then the OP gives us an update about a month and a half later saying, update, I think that I genuinely hate my daughter. No, I'm terrified of her. Hello again. About a few weeks ago, I was here venting about something I thought I would be crucified for. Instead, I was met with so much support and understanding. I never did thank you. This community is amazing. I wrote that I've decided to go no contact with my daughter after she chose to call her son after my abuser. If anyone remembers me, please can you include my old? Anyway, my daughter felt ostracized by her brothers and she spread talk about me influencing my sons to boycott her. After she gave birth, she started texting me pictures of her son with his name. I never answered her. I also changed my phone number, and my work number goes directly to an assistant before the calls/emails/texts are forwarded to me. The only way she could contact me now is if she showed up in my place, and she did that with her mother-in-law, husband, and baby last Sunday morning. She gave me her son to hold, and then she and the rest sat around the kitchen table. She was looking at me the whole time when she accused me of being a bad mother and grandmother, that I should get over myself because I wasn't the only woman in the world who experienced a bad marriage, that I was spoiled, a loose woman, selfish, all his rhetoric, all his words, they talked about me. She told me that she knew why I was doing this. I was doing this because I wanted to exclude her from the inheritance, but that she will fight with all her power for her and her son's rights. I didn't remember much of what happened next. I was feeling sick and felt like I was coming in and out of consciousness. I didn't only hate my daughter, I was terrified of her. All I could think of was that I didn't want to be in the closet again. Next thing I remember is my son-in-law walking after me in the street with a coat in hand. It was very cold, but I didn't notice. I was only in my shorts and t-shirt, and asking if I needed an ambulance. He told my sons that I kept telling him not to take me back to the closet. X locked me in the closet for days, sometimes weeks, when I disobeyed him. Next thing I remember was my sons in the hospital. None of them lives in the town, and I was planning to find a new job and move nearer to them before all this happened. Now, not only I don't have anything here to live for, I'm terrified. I don't know what inheritance my daughter was talking about either. I own so little. My car is old, and my house isn't of any significance. Anyway, I'm selling it, and I'll give her the share. Make sure she can never again come after me about it. My sons are not happy about my decision, but I would give her anything if she would let me alone and never bothered me again. I'm happy to buy my freedom if it was the money she was after all along. My older son said that she was planning to take over the house once I retired. It was something she's talked about before, way before she even met her husband. When my sons left home, she was thinking since she's the only one living in town, she could take the house and start her family. When I cut her off, she thought I was going to cut her off my will too. That's why she still kept trying to force a relationship with me. Now I can buy her out of my life. The rest I will put on a down payment for a small space in my new city. Work from home until I can be transferred or find a new job. If you made it this far, thank you for listening, and I'm sorry if I made you uncomfortable. And God, this is just so disturbing and upsetting that the daughter was only trying to form a relationship because she wanted the house from the OP. And also that she would name her son after the OP's abuser. I mean, it's just so disturbing. But let's get into some top comments. Someone says, giving her money is like putting out honey for wasps. You just get more. OP, I'll tell you what I've read on Reddit. Number 1, change your locks. Number 2, get security cameras. They are inexpensive now. Your sons will probably be happy to help with this. Number 3, do not, under any circumstances, open the door when she is there. Not even if she says she is in danger or that it's an emergency. Tell her to go to her brother's. Do not let her in. I'm so sorry she is so greedy and despicable, OP. And then someone else says, get a restraining order too. And I do agree because, I mean, who knows what the OP's daughter would do, because for some reason, she has this hatred towards her mother and just wants to honestly just terrify and torture her almost. It's just so upsetting that the only way the OP can get her out of her life is to, like, you buy her out of her life. That's what she has said. Now I can buy her out of my life. That is so disturbing how that's the only way how the OP can get rid of her daughter. But I just wonder why the OP's daughter hates her so much. Like, who knows what the OP's abuser said to her daughter when he was in the hospital. I'm sure he, just completely manipulated her and made the OP look like the bad person, if you know what I'm saying. But it's just so disturbing, and I feel so horrible for the OP. And that is the last update we have ever got from the OP. So I just really hope that the OP is in a better place now, in a better situation, and that the OP's daughter has, I don't even know what, turned her life around, realized that she was in the wrong or something like that. I doubt it, but who knows? But yeah, I just hope OP and her sons are just in a much, much better place now. OP finds out her loving dad's dark past as a kidnapper. Posted on July 3rd, 2022, and the post was titled, "My estranged family revealed that my loving, family-oriented dad was a monster." Growing up, my parents would always say that my brother and me had the coolest parents. They were the laid-back but still involved mom and dad parents. I was especially close to my dad and thought he was the best dad ever. He made a Hot Wheels dollhouse by hand for my birthday, to give you an example. When I wanted to be Supergirl, my mom hand sewed me a costume for Halloween. My parents are a physically affectionate couple too, and my brother and I thought it was gross when we were kids, but I now realize that being in your 40s and still in love is a miracle. My parents are immigrants, and because of that, we were never really close to their families who lived in their home country. But recently, my brother and I got in touch with some cousins on my mom's side on our own and got to know them. They were awesome and really chill. My aunts and uncles and grandparents were a little stiff, but they were nice. They only wanted to hear about what us and our mom were up to, and not my dad, so I got kind of frustrated and kept mentioning my dad. Finally, my cousin said if we didn't stop talking about our dad, their parents wouldn't let them talk to us anymore. None of our cousins knew what was going on either, or why they hated our dad so much, so they all started asking around and digging into family stuff. I thought it was going to be something stupid like class differences or my grandparents not approving of my dad for some reason. But we found out the truth, and it was a lot worse than we could have ever imagined. My cousins found a single short newspaper article from a digital archive about it. When my dad was younger, he kidnapped a university student and kept her for a bit. He was a minor, so he didn't get named or get a real punishment or like anything on his record. I can't look at my dad the same way again, or my mom. Why would my mom marry someone who literally kidnapped and hurt a person? My parents have noticed something off with us, but I don't even know how to bring this up. And then the OP adds some more context in the comments saying, "It's okay if you don't believe me. It's kind of an unbelievable, horrible thing to happen." So my cousins know more about this stuff than me or my brother, since they actually speak the language and talk to my aunts and uncles about this. One of my aunts made a few kind of vague statements about what happened, like about him being bad as a teen, and my cousins searched for what she talked about, and they found the article and asked her about it, and she basically confirmed it because she said that's why they don't talk about my dad. I don't know if it's actually my dad, and I'm hoping it's not, and then we can get over it. I don't know why he did what he did. The article was really short, only a few lines in their native language. It just said he kidnapped a university student and kept her basically, and that he was a minor and went to the equivalent of juvie for a few months. Kind of not. I don't know how to explain it, but their country has conservative values, but not that conservative. Like they're pretty modern. The victim was a student at the university, so she had to be at least 19 or 20 from what my cousin said. So she was a woman, not a girl. I don't know what to think. My cousins don't know much more than me, since the older generation have kept it hush-hush. And then the OP makes an update saying, "My estranged family was right. My dad did commit a horrible crime as a minor, kidnapping." Posted on July 4th, 2022, and the post reads as follows. To recap what happened, I connected with my estranged cousins from my mom's side. My aunts and uncles threatened to stop them from talking with us if I didn't stop talking about my dad. My cousins found out and told us that my dad committed a kidnapping as a minor and was sentenced to a few months in their country's equivalent of juvie. So I tried to bring this up to my dad, but I just couldn't. It would really hurt to accuse him of being a monster if he had literally done nothing wrong, because it meant that I actually thought he could be capable of doing something horrible like this. So I decided to talk to my mom. I told my mom everything, and she kind of started to justify it, saying that my dad was young, stupid, was in love, and was mentally all over the place. And then she slipped up and said, "He didn't hurt me." And I told her, "I thought we were talking about the student he kidnapped." And she kind of became really quiet. She said she had to go and left the room, and then a couple hours later called me and my brother down to talk to us with my dad. My dad said he knows we know, and that it was a horrible thing to do, and he regrets it, and he was forgiven but didn't say much otherwise. I asked them what happened, and my brother told me he didn't want to talk about this, and long story short, this is what went down. She was a student at a university an hour and a half walk away from her home, but she usually stayed in the dorms. Their university had stuff like curfews for women and strict rules, and she was pretty sheltered in other ways, even though she was a legal adult. She was going home for the holidays, and it was raining. My dad came up to her and struck up a conversation and offered her a ride home on his motorcycle. He was wearing a school uniform, and he looked pretty harmless, so she thought it was safe, but he took her to his house instead. He wouldn't let her leave, and she didn't know how to get home. My dad didn't hurt her or threaten her, but he might have done stuff that scared her, and when the maid came, she saw an opportunity, and she escaped, and then my dad was arrested, but he got slapped with a few months of juvie, but a clean adult record, which is how he was able to come to the US. She visited him to figure out why he would do this, and then stuff happened. I kept asking my dad why he would do this, but he was just stupid and selfish and didn't realize that it was scary for her. My mom said what's done is done, and that they got over it, and now my mom and dad are in love and happy, and that we could go to individual therapy to deal with it further if we wanted. My brother said it didn't matter anymore, and he wishes we didn't know it all. I can't look at my parents the same way ever again, and honestly, I agree with my brother. I regret talking with my cousins, and I think my estranged family have a right to avoid my family for what my dad did. And God, that is just so concerning, and it seems like everyone is kind of downplaying what happened. Obviously, I don't think the dad is telling the full story here. It feels like he's leaving out a lot of details. He's like, oh, and then she rode home with me, and oh, I took her to my house, and oh, this happened, and it feels like he's leaving a lot out. That's the sense I get. And everyone's saying in the comments that this would be very hard to get over, and I completely agree. And I just can't imagine if I found out one of my parents did something so horrible. Like, this could easily break up their family. But this is the last update we have ever got from the OP, so we don't know. Maybe it did break up the family because obviously his or their estranged family didn't want to keep contact with the father or even the family at all. So I wouldn't be surprised if this kind of broke up the family, and everyone just kind of split ways, which is so sad that this would, destruct the family because everyone was so happy, but they found out this horrible secret their father was hiding, and just bad stuff. But I feel like the dad is leaving out stuff because obviously kidnapping is bad as is, but he's just so chill about it. He's like, it's no big deal, and it's fine. But just very concerning, and I feel so bad for the OP and the OP's brother to find out that their father is a horrible person and did horrible things. Coworker almost certainly recorded myself and others in the male restroom. What can we possibly do? No idea if this is the right subreddit for this, but I have no idea where to turn to or what to do. Please send me in the right direction if this isn't the appropriate place. Myself and a group of 6 of us at work are almost certain our coworker is recording us in the bathroom with his phone. Our work bathroom has 2 stalls, one much bigger stall and a smaller stall right next to it. My first month into my job, I went into the big stall to use the bathroom. While I was in there, a person entered the small stall next to me. Once they sat down, I glanced over and noticed their phone was in their pocket, positioned in a way where, if it was recording, it would have a full view of me in the stall. I was weirded out by this and quickly left. I thought nothing of it until a few months later, I was chatting with some of my office friends, and they all had similar experiences. One guy, after it happened to him 3 or 4 times, waited outside the bathroom to confirm who it was. Now we all know who it is and have his shoes memorized so we can recognize them if he sits down in the stall next to us again. The most recent occurrence was the most telling. I recently got my friend on board and told him all about the guy who was probably recording us and told him what to look for. A week into the job, the recording coworker added my friend on our office Skype, presumably to see when his status was away, which means you are either in a meeting or in the bathroom. This was especially weird because these two have never had an interaction before. This put my friend on alert, and that day, when he went to use the bathroom, he heard someone enter the stall, and you guessed it, he recognized the shoes immediately and saw the phone positioned in the guy in the small stall's pants in the perfect position to record. I would maybe be willing to give the guy the benefit of the doubt. Maybe he just puts his phone in his pocket and stares at the stall door. Maybe it just happens to be sticking out of his pocket with the camera lens fully visible. I would maybe see that side of things, except that my other coworkers made eye contact with him once. He was peeing in the small stall, and the coworker we believe in recording us stood at the urinal closest to the small stall. There is a gap between the wall of the stall and the urinal, and the wall is made of tile. The tile has a ton of reflection. It's almost like a mirror. My coworker in the small stall glanced to his right and saw the reflection of a face pressed against the wall. That is so creepy. My coworker in the small stall then leaned forward and put his face against the wall and then made eye contact for a second. This guy is a creep. What the hell do we do about this? I can't 100% say his phone is recording when it is in his pants around his ankles, but there are too many of us with accounts of this. He just happens to have his phone in the perfect position to record, and then he just twiddles his thumbs. I don't buy it. The coworker we think is recording us knows that there's no way we can prove he is recording, and he has never been caught, so he keeps doing it. It makes work very uncomfortable. Can we call the integrity hotline and report that we think someone is recording us? What could they possibly do? If the guy is recording us, and if the guy is smart, he probably puts the videos on his computer and deletes them off his phone. I can't see them being able to do anything. And we can't go to management about this with nothing but just a very strong hunch. The accusation is absolutely massive. What, if anything, can we even do about this? And then some people ask some questions. Someone asks if the company has an integrity hotline, and the OP says, yes, we do. We have an integrity hotline we could call. I'm not sure what they could do. And then someone else asks if the OP is paranoid, and the OP says, we aren't being paranoid. He is a creepy guy in general, and the position his camera is in would clearly capture the entire stall. My guess is he gets off on the hunt. Capturing guys when they are exposed is exciting for him. Voyeurism is the thing that excites some people. And then some people ask if the OP is homophobic, and the OP says, nope, not homophobic at all. And yes, he uses Skype to see when we are away and follows us in there. Not sure if you read the whole story above, but he did that exact thing just last week. Added a new hire who we had never talked to, just so we could see that he is away from his desk. And then the OP gives us an update 8 months later, and the post reads as follows. So it's been a while since my original post, so I figured I'd give a quick update. I took some advice I received on this post and decided we needed to take action. I couldn't stand having this guy be around anymore, receiving praise from his coworkers while none of them know what is truly happening. I talked with a few of my coworkers about it, and we started looking into our options. Our company offers a hotline to report incidents just like this, completely anonymously. Finally, after a little bit of a debate, one of us called the hotline and reported the incidents. We waited to see what would happen. Eventually, the security team reached back out to him and asked him for more information. They said they are building a case and they need as much information as possible. After hearing this, the rest of us decided to report our cases to further aid in the building of the case. I remember the security officer telling me that things are going to move quickly. Well, I guess in a big company, they don't fuck around with this. Less than a month later, after the initial report was filed, the creepy asshole was fired. The entire department was told to meet in a meeting room real quick for some news, and management laid it on us that he was gone. He was a highly respected coworker who was really good at his job. The news was met with shock, especially since some layoffs had occurred recently. I remember my heart absolutely racing when the news was being given. I couldn't believe that it was happening. I really didn't think some anonymous reports would lead to action so quickly. The creepy guy was friends with some of the women in our department, and he was texting them constantly saying that he was innocent. He quit pretty quickly once they weren't having any of what he was saying. The rumors of why he was fired spread really quickly around the office, but fizzled out faster than I was expecting. I really thought this would be going around the office for months, but after 2 weeks or so, people stopped talking about it and things returned to normal. I really appreciate the advice on here. It was extremely helpful in my decision, and it worked out for the best. And I mean, that's great. The creepy guy was fired for doing whatever creepy stuff he was doing. And I'm curious if they found any sort of videos or pictures or evidence on his phone. I'm sure they did for him to be fired. But just a quick kind of thing I saw in there that really made me want to say something. He's like, I'm surprised the anonymous hotline did anything. Why do you think it's there? And that's something that comes up a lot in these Reddit threads and these Reddit posts. People just don't do things because they don't think anything will happen. It's so much better to say something and something happen than for you to not say anything at all. Like, I don't know why people think that's the best option, is just to ignore it and hope that it goes away, because most of the time, creeps like these just will keep doing it as long as they can. And most of the time it escalates. And this goes for everyone watching. If you are ever in a situation similar to that, or ever in a situation where you feel like you need to tell someone that someone is doing something creepy to you or imposing on you, please just tell someone, because it's better to leave a paper trail than just not say anything and then have something bad happen. I mean, it truly has happened so many times in these posts where people are like, well, I don't think I'm going to say anything because nothing's going to come out of it. We don't know. I mean, something definitely could come out of it, like here. The guy was fired. And yeah, I just think that's kind of upsetting that people don't use the resources available, such as the anonymous hotline. But luckily, one of his coworkers did, and the guy ended up being fired. Tonight, I broke up with my boyfriend because he kept joking about murdering me. During our first few weeks of dating, he joked too much for comfort, that he was going to murder and dismember me and dispose of my body. Wow, that is one hell of a first sentence. Maybe out of context. I'm being dramatic. He's very sarcastic and has a dark sense of humor. But to me, it wasn't funny and caused me anxiety because I know the statistics. I talked to him about this. I told him repeatedly, stop joking about killing me. And I mean, that's a ridiculous thing to have to even ask. I mean, no one should ever have to ask that, but he kept on with the jokes until I finally told him that those jokes literally scare me. He apologized and seemed to feel bad that his jokes made me scared of him. Tonight we are over 3 hours late to meet with his brother, to play games, watch movies, and eat dinner. When I was talking to him about us being late, I noticed he sighed deeply, clenched his fist, and looked down at it, as if he were making the conscious choice to not punch me. Then, as I was saying goodbye to his brother, he comes into the room and says she should say her permanent goodbyes. I asked him, what the fuck? He said it was a joke. I asked, how's it funny? What's the punchline? Please explain to me how that's supposed to be funny. He couldn't answer me. I didn't want to get into the car with him. I walked off, and thankfully, my roommate picked me up and drove me home. He called me later, and I told him I'm done. He's a good man other than for the jokes about killing me. We talked about it and agreed that he wouldn't joke about killing me anymore. But then he did it again tonight and doubled down that it was just a joke and that actually I'm the problem. I started telling him again about how often women are killed by their husbands and boyfriends, and that's why the jokes bother me so much, but he interrupted me to say fuck you. So I hung up and blocked him. All of this really sucks because my roommates say I should just talk it out with him and give him another chance because they can tell I really like him and he really likes me. But I already did that. I thought we were past the homicide jokes. Then he did it again tonight while he was angry with me, and it caused me this awful feeling in my gut that I needed to not get in the car with him and get away from him. I've had boyfriends and male friends in the past. None of them have ever made jokes about murdering and dismembering me, especially multiple times after I told them to stop. Have you had friends/boyfriends that make jokes like this? Where is the humor in it? What would you do in this situation? And then the OP makes an update the next day saying, thank you everyone for your overwhelming support. And thank you for the important links and resources in the comments. I've learned a lot and shared them with my friends. I love this subreddit. I haven't heard anything from him, and he hasn't caused any trouble since the breakup. If anything comes up, I'll update this post. And now let's get into some top comments. Someone says, you've already given him chances. He agreed to change. Then he broke his word. So not only is he verbally abusive and potentially violent, he also breaks his word. You did nothing wrong. There's no humor in what he said. And abusers frequently excuse their abuse in the two ways he did. First, they say it was a joke. If you don't accept that, then they try to blame it on you. You don't want to become a statistic. Well, there are plenty of men out there who will never threaten to kill you. You have done exactly the right thing. Don't feel bad about anything you've done. My one piece of old woman advice to you is to be very strict around dating men when it comes to threats, joke or not. If a man threatens you in any way, tell him that if he does it again, it's over. Don't tolerate any kind of threats or violence ever. If the man is actually a danger, he will see tolerance as a sign that he can violate your boundaries without consequences. Someone else comments saying, just remember, there's a lot of murdered women that once said, he'd never do that to me. Someone else says, when I was a teenager, I would go driving around country roads and around our smallish town with male buddies from school. I'm a woman. And one night, my really good friend thought it was a good idea to make a joke about chopping me up with an axe. I got really terrified because it was just an overwhelming and scary thing to hear, and I started to cry. The immediate regret was obvious in my friend's eyes, and he genuinely looked mortified for having scared me so badly. He started apologizing and saying it was such a stupid joke and reassured me. In the moments after making this stupid attempt at humor and seeing the impact it had, he felt remorse and wanted to correct his behavior. Your ex did not do this. Or if he did, he immediately repeated the scary behavior again anyways. My friend never made a joke like that again. Men who actually care about us will respond empathetically to our fear response and will want to do whatever it takes to ensure we feel safe around them, especially if it's as simple as refraining from making dumb jokes. I hope you never have to see this creep again, and good for you for sticking up for yourself. And then the OP makes an update 11 months later, and the update reads as follows. I hope I'm not breaking any subreddit rules by posting an update, but I thought this subreddit would like an update from all the feedback my OP received and all the messages I read requesting an update. My original post was almost a year ago. Thankfully, I have moved across state since then and have not seen him since. The last time I spoke to him over the phone, I made it very clear several times. Me. You promised you'd stop making jokes about murdering me, but then you did it again. You realize the greatest threat for women is being murdered by their own boyfriends/husbands? They are most likely to be killed by men they know. And then he said, hey Chugnose, fuck you. So I hung up. I ghosted him after that, blocked him on everything, and alerted my employer if he showed up that he was a threat. However, he sent me an email in an attempt to, I don't know. I'll leave you to draw conclusions because I really can't make any sense of it. I'm sorry if I quoted it incorrectly. I'm on mobile. In the email he sent me, Dear my name. He got my name wrong multiple times and it became a joke, which is what he refers to here. And the email reads as follows. I don't really know how to go about saying that I am empathetic, as I'm a me pathetic mess. But I do feel, I can understand, and I have recognized. My actions have consequences. Clearly. I thought I was being reasonable. I gave you time and space. I wasn't sure how long I needed to wait, or if I should just do nothing, but I didn't know you had even blocked me until today, as I'd not called, and only texted that first day, expecting nothing back. Yet now I understand. I should have known. I tried to call you tonight though, despite my better judgment. That's when it hit me hard. It's been almost 2 weeks. I know you don't want to be in a relationship with me, but I wanted to end this civilly. I could hope at least. On terms that we both could live on. Amicably. Or me, since I don't have a choice. That terrible night was booze-ridden and unfortunately for me, the end of us. I didn't get any chance, but I made my choices. And I was cut off by you. Like the cancer I became. Regardless of how much I remember, due to my memories being cut down by Irish whiskey and hazed focus. And this is very weird so far, but let's continue. You ghosted me. Now I know how that feels, as I've done that to others. I do deserve this. It's interesting because you mentioned to me that I never had to change my number in my last relationship over 5 years ago, because all I need to do was block them. Damn, history not only repeats itself, but can be fucking ironic. I lost one of my best friends. I lost you. I've been hurting, OP. This hurt even more. When I realized you don't even want to communicate with me, I would ask why. But I know it's because you hate me, what you think of me, what you think I am, who likes Andrew Tate. Nobody. I embody that nobody. I am hate. I am Tate. Wow, this is going off the rails quick. I obviously have a lot of growing up to do. I was not aware of just how much. I do not regret you, or the experiences I shared, which were awesome, and different than all the treasures I'd experienced with another soul. We had so much in common, and yet, the few things we didn't shape itself into a shadow that blocked our light. Your light. I regret not realizing that perhaps I was just not ready. You are so beautiful and awesome, and I hate hurting you in any way, especially since you deserve so much more love. And instead I gave you fear. You, however, only gave me happiness. You made me feel wanted, so much so that it blindsided me. I haven't been that happy in a very long time, and maybe that's why I fell for you so hard and so fast, as I had been in the dark for years. and your essence got me as high as a kite. I could see the sky for once. I was flying. I had been grounded since I had lost my wings a few years ago, and it showed. I started sinking in the sands of time, in bottles, in gates drowned by fears. My brother lost a friend because of me. I lost because of me. I may be a good person that does bad things, but I did a bad thing to a good person. It scares me to think. When we do, it'll inevitably happen. As it's a small town, run into each other, you will fear me, and I will fear you. I don't want that, but I made my grave, and I suppose I need to sleep in it. I will not call you again as I did tonight, as much as I want to. You can always call me, but I'm aware that it is about as real as my dreams coming true. I have respected your space. I haven't tried to suffocate it, or breathe your air. I just wanted to bury myself with a little dignity today, considering that I must be public enemy number one. I'm embarrassed to admit that running into your roommates or even coworkers makes me feel uncomfortable. That I did, to myself and you. I'm sorry, OP. I don't know what else to say. I know you'll find someone sooner or later who will treat you with respect and make you feel loved. I am not him. I failed, but you will have that, as much as I don't want to think of it. And you deserve it as much as I didn't commit to that. I know you think I don't love you. You can ghost me, you cannot respond. I don't think you will anyways. Maybe you won't even read this, which is okay. I need to say my piece, to rest at sea, but you can't take away how I felt, or how I feel at all. Maybe that is my problem. I was too much. You thought I was just a blimp in time anyhow, and now that blimp can finally sink in time. And God, what a weirdo. I mean, went from saying he was going to murder his girlfriend to this weird email. And I didn't have to read out the full email in full. I just thought I would because you can just see how odd this person is. And it's good that the OP got away because they just seem off their rocker, obviously. And now let's get into some comments. A commenter says, people talking about this man being sociopath/psychopath/narcissistic. To me, he sounds like a generic boy that is trying to verbalize his emotions for the first time. I don't know how old he is, but it reads like a letter my first boyfriend at 20 years old sounded, trying to be poetic and funny and failing at both, and just word vomiting emotions without fully understanding them. Yeah, that's just a normal dude learning his actions have consequences for the first time. And the OP comments something wild. He's like 40. This man's 40 years old talking about Andrew Tate and how he's a blimp. And also he's a 40-year-old saying he's going to murder his girlfriend. I mean, obviously, like, that's concerning no matter what age, but like, to me, it's just different, a 20-year-old versus a 40-year-old making that comment. Because like a 20-year-old might be thinking it's kind of funny, because like younger people obviously make jokes sometimes that are just not funny, but just try to like be extreme and edgy to think they're funny. But for it to be a 40-year-old making that joke is just so disturbing. And someone else says, I'm so glad you're safe. I've wondered about you from time to time. And the OP says, thank you. I'm doing great. Another commenter says, this reminds me of how my ex responded to me many years ago when I broke up with him. I broke up with him because I started getting this weird gut feeling that I didn't feel comfortable being alone with him, and he was getting very possessive and a bit manipulative. I even had a close family friend reach out to me to hesitantly share that she was not sure why, but she was worried about me being alone with him. He responded via text by trying every manipulation tactic in the book, from telling me he was sobbing and to please take him back, to saying I had just been using him and I was a liar, to telling me he didn't know how he was going to go on with his life. His reaction made me realize I absolutely made the right choice. And then the OP responds saying, thank you for sharing. It's so important to trust your instincts. And then another commenter says, him talking about alcohol makes it make sense. All the more reason to keep him blocked though. If he's making these jokes while drunk, there's a non-zero chance that he actually did fantasize about killing and dismembering you or someone else. And then the OP responds saying, most of the time when he made the jokes, he was totally sober. Another commenter says, I read through your first post. The dating phase is when you get to know somebody. Take your time to do that before making more commitment. He is a nutcase. I doubt he ghosted anybody, and he is trying to say things that make himself look better. And then the OP responds saying, we weren't together for long. I was initially attracted to him because he was cheerful, happy, charismatic, kind, considerate, and handsome. Then the mask fell off. And then another commenter says, shadow that blocked our light. Your light. Am I only the one who reads it as another death threat? Blocking the light with capital letters implying she'll be turned off? OP, please do not lower your guards and be careful. And then the OP responds saying, "Wow, you have a great point. I had not considered that until now." I feel guilty for saying this, but I'm relieved after my kid is institutionalized permanently. And before we get into the story, I'm just going to clarify some terms that they're going to use a lot. ODD is oppositional defiant disorder, and IED is intermittent explosive disorder. And a quick Google search describes them as oppositional defiant disorder, or ODD, includes a frequent and ongoing pattern of anger, irritability, arguing, and defiance toward parents and other authority figures. And intermittent explosive disorder, or IED, involves repeated sudden episodes of impulsive, aggressive, violent behavior or angry verbal outbursts in which you react grossly out of proportion to the situation. And now let's get into the post. I feel guilty for saying this, but I'm relieved after my kid is institutionalized permanently. I feel like a bad person saying this, but here we go. My therapist also advised me to write here so I can feel more free. I, 46 male, have 2 kids. Adam, who's 20 male, and Ben, who's 15 male. This is about Ben. I wish I could word this differently, but since age 1, we could sense something was wrong with Ben. He was always angry at something. Some days he would be an angel, but most of the times he was a wrecking ball. At first, us and his pediatrician thought it was trouble twos, but it just continued. If his brother or a kid got his toy or his stuff, he would beat that other kid and bite him/her. He was fired from 4 kindergartners at age 5, and we were at the doors of a child psychiatrist at age 5. Our journey started with an ODD diagnosis, but after the randomness of constant anger attacks, he was diagnosed with IED at age 7. We thought we would have the answers and he would be treated. We were very wrong at the second part. Due to him having a fame, we have changed the school district. We live in the EU, not in the US, but it did not change. He still had tantrums, and due to this, he had been in severe depression. It is heart-wrenching to see an 8-year-old to have depression. They don't have the childish happiness and hope. We have tried everything. We even have private tutors for him so he could be less exposed to the school environment. We even arranged special education, and he's been in really supportive schools for mental health diseases, but it still continued, and at age 10, we had the first S-word attempt. He tried to commit S-word with my belt in his brother's room. Then at age 12, he stole his mom's, my wife still, heart medication. She has arrhythmia, and put himself in a comatose state. The next 4 years were hell. We had to send our older son to live with his grandparents at a different city, and our house was like a mental health unit. We had a caretaker who lived with us fully, and we couldn't use any kind of sharp or stab objects in the house. I learned how S-word proof rooms were done because we had to make it built in our house. If he wasn't committing S-word, his anger was directed outside. At age 14, he wasn't allowed to enter any public building in the town because he tried to beat someone or smash down a window. He spent more days at a ward than outside. But 3 months ago, he reached to a new level. Until that day, he never tried to murder someone, but at that day, he was almost killing. He had to stay in the ICU for a month. An 8-year-old kid for beeping with his bike while he was right in front of our house. He managed to open the door, and he choked the kid until my wife became aware and hit his head with a pan. After that day, a judge ordered him to permanently institutionalized at a mental health center. I wish I could say I was sad, but I feel happy. For the first time in 3 months, I feel nothing but joy and happiness. Me, my wife, and Adam had a great week together since ages, and we had our long-deserved vacation. I might look cruel, but I can't think of anything but relief. I should feel guilty for saying he is government's problem anymore, but I don't, and it makes me feel guilty. I don't know if I love my son anymore, but I feel glad. I'm grateful to know he won't be around us anymore. I wish I could feel a little more remorseful, but I can't. Maybe this is the thing that makes me remorseful. And then the OP updates 3 weeks later saying, "So I am back again." Multiple parents with kids whom have IED have written and said they felt the same guilt, but after the permanent care, their life quality have been improved drastically, and I can attest to that. Since that last post, we have been to the Institute twice. In first visit, he was sedated, and we saw him while he was sleeping. Though at the second visit, he wasn't sedated, and he was much calmer. He said he strangled that kid so he would be killed at prison. He said he had read about child murderers would be killed at prison, so he thought he would finally be free. He said he still wanted to get out of this world. He said, "I just gave up. Maybe I will die here peacefully, but I know it shouldn't be at their expense. Please tell the kid's family my apologies if you can." After this, we had a talk with the psychiatrist. She said, "It was one of the best insights we have gotten from him, and we have an idea, but to be honest, be prepared for the idea of permanent residency." My wife shed a lot of tears, but me and his brother were relieved. I said, "Some of us are not for this world, and due to luck, it is my brother. Maybe he will feel happy here one day." It is not a good update, but right in here, it just helps me feel a little bit at ease. My wife is still sad not seeing our kid at house, but she's grieving Ben's loss in a way. Maybe in the future he will have a sense of normalcy, but neither his brother nor me have our hopes high on that.